It says we're on.
Right?
Yep.
All right. First, we'll say, Call
Allah,
halal,
Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, Bashar, Kabadash.
and double honors the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways, teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. You know, with the Israelites, we come out here every week, you know, to prophesy and bring out the knowledge of the Heavenly Father, man, which is all through the Spirit. And you know, certain things, man, at the end of the day, man, everybody ain't gonna get it. Right? Scoffers are always gonna be scoffers. Right? So right now you see this debate that happened, and you got these goofy Christians who are trying to say that Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is Japheth. And that's because they don't understand the scriptures, and they're not spiritual. It's not been given unto them. But the point is that who's supposed to understand and believe are going to understand and believe. And who ain't supposed to understand and believe, they ain't going to understand and believe. And the proof is going to be in when these things manifest that we're talking about. Because if you believe that Esau, Edom is Japheth, guess what? Then anything in the prophecy concerning Japheth will happen to them, and it will play out like that. But then if you got Edom now, if we're saying Esau, the so-called white man, is Edom, and we go into the scriptures, and the scriptures prophesy against him and say the things that's going to happen to him, when those things happen, then you're going to know. Okay, well, yeah, these men have got to be the Edomites because that's who it's happening to.
Someone's just going to find out before others, man.
Yeah.
The elect, they're giving, you know, a heads up of everything that's about to happen because they're men of the Lord, right? They're there to prophesy. So they're there to know before it happens, right?
Yep.
But for everybody else, you're going to be, you know, you're going to find it later on down the line.
And it's going to be made manifest. It's just like America. We can debate backward and forward with a guy if America is Babylon the Great, right? But you're always going to get people who are in unbelief. They're going to find something to say, oh, no. But guess what? When America is destroyed by thermonuclear destruction, man, and the chariots and all that, then where's the argument going to be then? So our job is really, first and foremost, to know the truth. Secondly, to teach the truth. But we can't make an unbeliever believe. All right. So if you want to believe that the so-called white man is Japheth, that's on you. We've told you the right thing. If you want to run with that,
but even this behavior that you're having, man, trying to run away from the fact that you Edomites and all this kind of stuff, that's also prophetic. So you don't really understand the gravity or the scope of the prophecy that you're in. That's why you can't see, because you're in the midst of it, man. You don't see it.
And they're not used to dealing with who's who anyway. That's why they're all messed up. So let's get these scriptures out. That's what we're here to do. And that's it. You don't get it, that's on you, man. I got it. We got it. So if you don't get it, then we can't help you anyway.
Yep. Romans 3:3, for what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of the Most High without effect?
That's right. So if you don't believe that we're the Israelites, that's your problem. If you don't believe that the so-called women Edom, that's your problem. If you don't believe that only Israelites can be saved, that's your problem. Now, we could debate backward and forward, but the only purpose of the debate really, ultimately, is just to get everything out in the open. So these things do kind of happen in a way, because which we're gonna get in Isaiah, once the Lord does what he does, you ain't gonna be able to backtrack. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna be able to backtrack and say, oh no, but I said no, because everyone heard what you had to say. It's just like when we used to debate with the Black unconsciousness community. Now everybody knows what they believe and they know what we believe. So when the Lord does what he does, man like Polite and these man ain't gonna be able to say, oh well, but Hotep said no. You made it clear what your stance was, and we made it clear what's in the scriptures. Yeah. So when what we say come to pass, that's going to be the end of the argument.
Yeah. Another quick one. Ezekiel 33:33, and when this cometh to pass, lo, it will come. Then shall they know that a prophet hath been among them.
That's when you're going to know. Not everyone's going to believe, right? We saw the thing. These guys trying to say that. Why? Because they don't understand that Esau lives in Japheth's land. They don't understand that. Because they're not spiritual, man. They're spiritually stunted, so they can't discern things.
It's from Romans 11, verse 7. What then? Israel have not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it. So it's not for everybody to understand these things. You know, none of these people out here. They might get a little bit of something. They might have a little bit of understanding of this or that. but they're never gonna get the full scope of things, man. So if you don't believe, it's just because you wasn't made to believe, you know. And there's nothing anyone can say or do about that, because that's the Most High has chosen that lot for you, right? As we're gonna go read on, right? Verse 8. It's according as it is written. Again, this is all part of prophecy. It's written that you man are not gonna believe or see or understand these things. Yep. The Most High is keeping you away or keeping you back from it, blocking your minds to it, man.
It's just like how many times we've broken down exhaustively that salvation is only for the Israelites, and it's clear in the scriptures, but it's only clear to those who have eyes to see. Because Vocam alone will repeat the same BS that we've debunked already, and you will believe that because you want to believe that. You've been set up to go that way.
Yep.
Right? When the scriptures make it clear who the new covenant is for, it's not. It's
That's
clear,
not a mystery. You know?
right? But you will find a way to
Make it, yeah, not mean that.
okay.
Because God have given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see. But you're not actually asleep. You're awake, right? But you're not. You know? Spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear unto this day.
Right. So you gonna always have people that they're not gonna even though we're breaking it down and bringing out all the scriptures, certain things are also spiritually discerned. They're not gonna get it, man. They're not gonna understand it. They're gonna buck up against it and they're gonna score. But we don't lose sleep over that. It is what it is.
And we're just happy that we know. So we're actually at peace with what we know. Like you might disagree, but that don't matter to us. Right? Verse 9 says, and David said, let their table be made a snare. So you're going in the scriptures trying to understand these things and find breakdowns that counteract ours. And you're just putting, clutching at straws, man. So hard. Making up doctrines and making up understandings that don't appear in the scriptures, man.
You don't. It's like when I did the video of the day, like skying into Chat GPT, right? And I asked Chat GPT the artificial ID some simple questions. I said, were there Jews during the time of the gospel that didn't identify as Jews? And it broke it down historically. Yeah, you would have had guys that for whatever reason would have been scattered among the other nations and would not have known that they were. And it even said in ChatGPT, it's absolutely plausible that many of the Gentiles that came in were actually ethnically Jews in the past.
His diaspora.
But that is so far and beyond the mindset of a Christian, because the whole Christianity is based upon ignorance.
Yep.
So when they hear the term Jew, they automatically think that Jew means every Israelite, not understanding that there were Israelites that were not a part of the Judean infrastructure or the Judean system. You had people who were ethnically Jews that were outside of that weren't being identified. Many. And then that's not even to mention the northern kingdom that they're ignorant of, that wasn't a part of Judea. But you can't. They don't want to accept that, because so they just see Gentile and they want to run with it without getting the proper understanding.
Yeah.
But that's not our fault. We can only break it down, and if you can't get it, you can't get it. You don't understand the mystery of the Gentiles, and you can't understand. But Hebrews 8 breaks it down quite clearly and tells you that the new covenant is for who? Judah and Israel.
Right. Grab something real quick. So 2 Corinthians 4:3. But if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost.
They're lost. They're lost, man. You trying to break it down. Look, only the Israelites can be saved. Oh no, but God so loved the world. You'll break that down, and they still don't want to get it. Why? Because they're stuck on stupid. And they're blinded.
And it tells you, man, that these devils, right? These Edomites, right, would deceive the world, right? You're under that deception.
Yeah.
Because they've been in control of all these religions, right? And the book and what you've been learning from the book. The book's not been changed, but the doctrine that they teach from the book, they've been in control of.
And they know. You know how you know? Because all you got to do is go into the commentary. And when you go into the commentary and certain Old Testament prophecies, it will blatantly tell you, yeah, this is Israel. But what they'll try and do is attach a little thing onto it to say, well, yeah, and then but in the New Testament, but it doesn't actually say that. They try and flip it instead of taking it as what it actually says. Because the scholars know that when you really go into the prophecies, there is no prophecies that prophesy salvation for the other nations. That's not in there whatsoever. They've inputted that in and pushed the narrative, and to keep that narrative going, you keep repeating that rhetoric, and you keep the people ignorant to what's actually in the scriptures. So most Christians don't understand the covenants. They don't understand the covenant with Abraham, the covenant with Isaac, the covenant with Jacob. They're cognitively dissident that race and ethnicity even plays a role in the scriptures, even though the tribe of Levi is the priest by race,
And
even though Israel was chosen by race.
and this is why this supersessionism or whatever, man. This is a convenient doctrine that you have, man. Because you know you can't get rid of the Israelites.
Yeah,
You can't. So what you try and do is replace them.
replace them with the,
Which you can't do. Because you're not of the seed of Abraham.
but it sounds nice, you know.
It goes on to say, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not.
Yep, you've been given up. So our people that don't get this truth, they've been given over unto Satan, and them demons are blinding them, and they're taken in whatsoever lie that they believe in. It could be
Sounds good to
Islam,
me.
it could be Christian. It don't matter. There's different flavors of lies. They're going to be taken in that lie, but the elect are going to be brought sanctified through the Spirit and the belief in the truth, and the truth is going to be here, and they're going to see and understand the truth when they hear it, and that's the separation.
Lest the light of the glorious gospel of Mashiach, who is the image of the Most High, should shine unto them.
Right, because if you receive this truth, then you're sanctified to be delivered, and as simple as that. So when you see these Negroes, like you get these dudes, right, championing for Esau because they've been trained to be that way in the plantation, on the plantation. Esau gave them that goofy Christianity where it's like love thy neighbor. But the same man that told them love their neighbor and to love their enemy are the first man to they're ready to tear up the enemy. These are the same man that went and blew up it. For all history, anytime you violated Esau, you best know something. Listen, Esau ain't never let nothing go. Esau don't believe in turning the other cheek. This is a fact. If you violate Esau, or Esau says you violated him, he's then now going to put in work on you in the most grievous manner.
You've got the right to.
And the recent example of that, we have them. A couple man blew up a building. They didn't turn the other cheek. These were Christians. They didn't say, "Oh well, you know, like them Arabs and that." The Bible says to forgive. You know, the Bible. This is what we do know. There was no forgiveness scriptures. There was no love thy enemy scriptures. There was no God is love. There was no mercy scriptures. Be a vengeance, that man was upon blood. That's why they were dropping bombs
on random men.
So the Edomites who gave you this plantation version of Christianity don't even live by that plantation version of Christianity. They never have. Because the Bible says love thy neighbor, but doesn't it say love worketh no ill to his neighbor? But everyone is the same, right? So how did they put you in slavery?
That's why this is a nation of hypocrites.
Why did they put them in slavery then? How can you have the belief that you're supposed to love your neighbor and all these good things in the scriptures, but then slavery happened and all the atrocities happened? Well, that means that what they're telling you that you're meant to live by, they weren't living by.
But you know, it's just control.
It's just control. But you, Jake, pick it up. And the funny thing is, you only apply it when it comes to Esau. When it comes to your own people, you're quick to get vengeance on your own people. So the whole thing you can see is separate. It's set up to really protect Esau. That's the only time love thy neighbor applies, when it comes to getting vengeance on Esau or hating Esau. Then all them things have to kick in. But then you go online, and the man that's the most racist online is all the Christians. But then you, Jake, are coming to us defending Esau, talking about how you're supposed to love your brother and this, that, and the third. What is wrong with you? Because your Christian brothers ain't defending you. They're calling you monkeys online. They're saying you're low IQ. They're saying that they should have got rid of you. They should have kicked you out of America. These are Christians. So make it make sense. You both follow the same religion, but these men hate you, but you're over here advocating for them.
I want to come back here, Romans 11 verse 9. That David said that their table be made a snare and a trap and a stumbling block and a recompense unto them. So, you know, you're going through these scriptures thinking that you're going to understand it, but really you've been ensnared in it. Yeah. You know, with all these lies.
You don't know how to balance the scriptures. You don't know how to understand the scriptures, man. When the scripture was talking about love your enemy, that wasn't talking about the other nations. That was talking about among us, and really extends onto the elect.
Because then how would it make sense when Yahushua turns up? He's going to destroy his enemies, right? But what about the love then?
That's why it's spiritually discerned. But they don't have no understanding in the scriptures, man. So Esau can pick something up and use it against them, and they just run with it. Because Esau.
Yep, just one more verse. This is, verse 10. Let their eyes be darkened that they may not see. And you can't see, right? And bow down their back always.
Yeah, that's why under that vibration, you, Jake, will always be subordinate to your spiritual father, Esau. Because if you subscribe to Christianity, your spiritual father is the devil. Because the whole understanding of Christianity is based upon them. They're the ones that write all the books. They're the ones that break down anything. And that's why Vocab Malone don't like us. Because we're like, we're gonna be the authority over what the scripture's saying and not saying. But in the Christian church, if you're a Baptist, we could Google it right now. If you're a Protestant, your church fathers, the men that started your whole thing that you go by for your breakdowns, are all Edomites. None of them are black. So-called black. None of them will be. They'll all be, whether it's Calvin or, you know what I'm saying? That's where it's going to.
Say Russell.
And then when you go to get your degree in theology, who's authorizing that?
The devil.
Most of the books that you're gonna have in your yard, if that are Christian based, if it's not written by the so-called white man, the guy that wrote it learned from him.
Say you niggas in Egyptology, man.
But you see this understanding we have of the scriptures is through the spirit.
You know, yeah.
We don't need Esau to co-sign and to tell us that, yeah, like Vocab alone wants to tell us when the Edomites were done away with, and then he wants to be an authority over us, but then he'll give you 4 or 5 different explanations, and it don't make no sense. First, the Edomites were done away with this point. Then he's gonna say they were done away with here. Then he's gonna say they're done away with there. Which one is it, Vocab? Then he will say, oh well, Deuteronomy 28:68 happened then, and then it didn't just happen then, it happened then. Well, Vocab, common sense can tell you if you're saying that Deuteronomy 28 and 68 happened twice before in history, then it can happen a third time. So why is it this time when we're saying it happened don't apply? Because you say so? So you can apply it, attribute it to 2 times in history, but we can't apply it. What does that tell you? He's saying, well, I'm just an authority then. And then even he said he don't want to go into the eschatology. He never wanted to go into prophecy because he knows even in the realm of Christianity, there's dispensationalism, there's man, and I've gone into all of it, and it's all just confusion and mad.
They all don't agree.
They all don't agree. But one thing he's gonna say is we're definitely wrong. Why? Because we're not going to him.
We're saying this thing he least likes.
Yeah, because our thing's not based upon
Or
Esau
you,
being the head.
That's right.
If you're a Christian, a so-called black Christian, your head is always, not only is Jesus white man, but everyone's white. Edomite, I should say. We're like, nah, we don't want no Edomites in our structure. So even if we read something that Edomite says, I need to now qualify and authorize whether what that Edomite said was right or wrong.
Yeah, because these are a nation of deceivers, man.
Yeah.
So we have to.
So I can't just go on what Esau said. I need to verify what Esau said. And then I'll say, yeah, that Edomite's right on that.
We'll give this.
We'll give the stamp of approval, man. Because we could do that in the spirit.
Right.
Amos 3:7. Sure, the Lord's power will do nothing, but he reveals his secret unto his servant, the prophet.
And the servants are all Israelites.
Yeah, no Edomite.
The Edomites, they're not servants, so they're servants of themselves. That's why religion, Esau, whenever you see Esau involved in a religion, it's always to serve his purpose. And no one can't deny that Christianity was co-opted for the purposes of white supremacy. So how can you trust that man? He didn't even keep religion pure. He adopted for his means. He didn't even keep science pure. What did he do? Adopted science for his means.
Yeah.
This man doesn't have integrity when it comes to truth. He will never let the truth get in the way of his own agenda.
We can even on the way that when we were coming, we were talking about stats, and like Esau has used stats to basically try and make Jake look like we're the worst thing since whatever. But it's
It's like you said, manipulate.
exactly,
For his benefit.
for his benefit.
And that's the way Esau's always been. That's why even now, these same Edomites are trying to scapegoat Jake and make Jake look like we're like the problem in the earth here. So he has no responsibility for the condition of Jake. He has no responsibility. Even these rabid level 10 ghetto, because not every Jake is at the same level of ghetto. Right? we're not. We don't come from no families like that. You know what I mean? Like, we might be from the end, but we know there's levels of ghettoism, yeah? But you can always trace back the causality from one to another. And you'll always find that Esau and his system plays a hand in fermenting that situation. But he'll act like he never had nothing to do with it.
Even down to like the food, because there was that thing where like one prison changed the food that the inmates were eating, and violence in the prison went down.
Esau knows. Esau's a subverter. But they'll act like these ghetto jakes in America, they don't have no hand in it, so it's just genetics. Esau's the devil that the Bible speaks of, man. He's the devil that the Bible speaks of. That's how we know he's Esau Edom. And he's the one nation that we really can't get along with, period. That's because it's enmity between the seeds.
Yep, that's right. Forever.
The other nations, yeah, we're enemies, but it ain't like how it is with Esau. It always comes back to Jacob and Esau. It always does. Go on.
And I was about to say, all these other nations know that you're a problem. Every nation can attest that you're a problem, man.
Yeah, you're an asshole, man. You're a hypocrite, man.
We'll go precept from what the brother was reading before. This is 1 Corinthians 2. I'm going to start from 10. It says, but the Most High hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit. The Spirit searches all things, yea, the deep things of the Most High. For what man knoweth the things of a man, save the spirit of a man which is in him? Even so, the things of the Most High knoweth no man, but the Spirit of the Most High.
So the fact that we have all these understandings in the scripture is through the Spirit, because if it was up to Esau, we would have known nothing. It's in Esau's interest to keep us ignorant, dumbed down, and under his control.
And is that not supposed to be well, not the point, but isn't that supposed to be how the end time is supposed to be? That everyone's in ignorance, everyone's being deceived.
Yeah, Esau's not. Listen, even with his own people, he keeps them ignorant. His own people, even if you want to take it to a secular level, Esau makes sure that the majority of people of his own people don't understand how things work, because it makes it easier for him to use experts and these talking heads on the TV to manipulate people. That's why you got people walking around thinking that a tariff is paid by another country. You wouldn't be able to even pull that at all in a truly educated society, which is why they have to have people dumbed down and uneducated, because you could say something to, when someone's educated, right? It's difficult to make them believe something, even if it's plausible, because some things are only plausible when you're ignorant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, for instance, you know, you're the IT don. Yeah. Someone could probably explain something to me in a way where I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But fundamentally, it doesn't. But because I don't have the fundamentals,
yeah,
and I'm a layman, it makes sense what he's saying. I'm like, yeah, that'll work. Then I'll give man 50 grand, and then the whole thing's mash up here, and then you'll be like, well, hold on. From the very first, you can't use that for that. That ain't gonna work, like, fundamentally. But I don't know that. He just makes it sound like it will. I don't know the details. The con man. It's very easy for something to sound plausible when you don't know the ins and outs of it.
Yeah.
And that's what Esau does all the time. So it's in his interest to keep people as dumbed down and as compartmentalized as possible.
And that's why, you know, I speak about education earlier, right? That's the public school system for you, man. You don't really get taught how to really think.
Even the church.
You know?
Most people are in churches don't know the scriptures. Because when they're in church, it's mostly rhetoric. And I was in the church, I'll tell you the truth. I was in church the other day. I had to go to church for some bullshit, and it was enlightening because I ain't been there in so long. And I was like, these people are insane. It's in gross darkness, and they're just repeating rhetoric. It's all rhetoric. There's no substance. You're not going to learn nothing from the scriptures. It's all rhetoric. So no wonder when they come up to us, man, they ain't got a clue about the scriptures and like that, man. Because they've been in the church for 30 years, and all they know is all the songs and a bunch of rhetoric that's repeated over and over again. If you've been in the church for 30 years, you're supposed to be a scholar in them scriptures by then. That man ain't got no clue. A brother that's been in this truth for like 2 years, will just decimate 99.9% of Christians just off knowledge of the scriptures alone and basic know-how. Them man will be making basic mistakes, like mistaking people like from different eras. You know what I'm saying? I've had it. I remember when I first come into the truth, you know, one of the pastor's husband actually tried to confront me on the scriptures, and I was breaking down Jacob and Esau, and then he started going, yeah, but that was Lot's brother, and I'm like, what? I got to break down to you that, yeah, and he's meant to be a minister, a big man in the scriptures, and he was making
Wow.
like, because he's never had to be, he never had to know that like that. They don't have to know it like that.
If I can add the point, like even that we was talking about, even in the secular world, even when people that have come up to the camp over the years that will be like, oh, I'm a professor in this, we then start breaking it down, but because like their students look up to them and they don't question them, they're always just never having to really defend their point. But they come up to the to us and they're like, oh shit.
But also the thing with this, being a professor doesn't mean shit, because you obviously like a curriculum. You have to learn specific things, and then you get the pass mark, right? They only know specific things, and even they don't even know that correctly.
Half of them ain't even read the whole Bible. They ain't even read the whole thing. Some of them man don't even know books exist. Remember one time, I think it was IUIC, they were dealing with a pastor, and they said, man said, oh, there ain't no book of Obadiah. Man didn't even know that the book of Obadiah existed. Why? Because you don't need to know all that.
Yeah, there's only one page long.
There's only one form of rhetoric that they repeat in those churches over and over and over again. It's just rhetoric.
But this is why they get shocked when they hear us bring out things. They get shocked.
Oh, that's in there?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I don't know
what's in there. I'm not saying we remember every scripture, but we'll know if it's in there if we hear it. We're like, oh, I don't know about that, brother. What book is that?
Goes on to say back in 1 Corinthians 2:12 now, it says, now we have received not the spirit of the world, the spirit which is of the Most High, that we might know the things that are freely given to us of the Most High.
You think we get out of the world? You Christians think but you're in it. You're part of this whole grand deception that's being played, man. You're actually stuck in it. You know, we're the ones breaking away from the status quo. We're not in what you're into. And that's why when we come up with things, it's so strange. The same as how I came on the scene, it's so strange to everybody. It's like, I don't understand. Yeah.
Basics in it, just basics of genealogy, them man don't understand. Them man don't even understand the basics of genealogy, that your nationality goes back to your father. Do you know how fundamental and basic that is in the scriptures? And if you ask the average Christian, they're not going to understand what is a nation in the Bible?
Yeah, they can't break that.
What makes you of a particular nationality in the Bible? They couldn't break it down to you. They're just the basics. So then how are you meant to break down anything?
But then you can't say you're not under a spell then, because you're kept in ignorance.
The most you do is you might go to Sunday school and you might learn a little about Abraham when you was a kid. I remember, you go to Sunday school and you might learn them basic things, yeah? But you don't really retain it or truly understand or go into. The only time I understand the covenants now much better than ever, because they're not going to explain all that to you.
Yeah.
They give you some rhetoric about mankind when the Bible's not even about mankind. If you read it properly, it's not a general. It's never been a book that's generalized to mankind.
Yeah. And this is the thing. That's the first thing when I first started reading the scripture, because I didn't know nothing about the scripture. Well, I didn't go to church and when I started reading scriptures, like what you got told about it, it was nothing like that. No. And when you start reading, you can it's very centric.
Yeah,
it's very centric. Like it's not about anybody else. It's about the Israelites.
The Lord's like to hell with these other men.
The question should really be when you pick up scriptures, am I an Israelite? That's what you should be really asking yourself, man, because that's what it should be pertaining to. Yeah. You know?
I even remember one time being in church and the person leading the prayer was like, "We need to pray for peace in the Middle East." And it's like, actually, we actually don't want it. Exactly.
Pray for America. What?
It says,
these men don't want heaven that badly, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Like when Paul wrote the book to the Romans, he didn't pray for Rome. And lastly, I just like to say we need to pray for Rome. Man, it was what we doing here.
It says that we might know the things that are freely given to us of the Most High, which things also we speak, not in the words which man's wisdom teacheth, but which the Holy Ghost teacheth, the Spirit teacheth, comparing spiritual things with spirits. So all these things these people learn in this school, including religion, right? Because they go to school, we go to seminaries and shit, you get taught by people that don't understand shit. That's wisdom of this world. Because they're not spiritual men that are teaching you these things. Even when you read these commentaries, right? They're not when you listen to what they're saying, they don't act like men with faith or men that believe in the scripture. They're very critical, yeah. And they just
and it's inconsistent.
Yeah.
Like the one thing you have to realize about the Bible, it's like a good movie. You know the thing about a good movie? If someone writ a really good movie, the more layers you peel back, the better the film becomes. A bad movie is on its face broken. On its face, the characters are just don't make no sense. The plot like don't make no sense. Then you might get a half decent film, but then when you start digging a little bit deeper, the deeper you dig, it's like, yeah, that's falling apart now. Someone writes a really good movie, it's like you could connect this bit to what happened there and the little Easter eggs there and that. You're like, raw, like they really well, guess what? This whole world is the Most High's movie that he writ. And the beautiful thing about the scripts that we have is it's consistent. It's consistent from the beginning to the end. There's no contradictions or plot holes in the Bible. It's a very consistent narrative. It is it's a constant. No prophet is going to come with a word which is going to contradict what the last prophet said.
Yeah.
You can't find it. Oh, you're chosen, but no, you're chosen. But which one's chosen? It's not going to be like that. In fact, if you actually understand the scriptures, you could really sum up the entire synopsis of the whole Bible in the book of Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter. It literally tells you the whole process of everything that was going to happen. The Israelites falling away, and then the Israelites coming back, and then the kingdom of heaven. It's all in Deuteronomy 30. It's the details in between that the prophets bring out. And they each bring out a piece, and then some of them are talking about the same event, like Isaiah, Jeremiah. They talk about the destruction of Babylon the Great. Same thing John the Revelator comes back in. So even the scholars, when you go into the references, they link up and reference, oh, well, yeah, that in Revelations there goes back to Isaiah. It's the same event, you know, the garment in blood and all that. Because it's a consistent thing. It's not schizophrenic.
But there's this mystery to be understood that was really already given by the gift of the Heavenly Father. Right? Because you know, it's about Babylon back then when it existed, but then it's about future Babylon, but that can't exist, but it's not the same, same thing.
So it has to make sense.
That's right.
It's the Bible always going to make sense. The problem with Christianity
is key to unlocking that understanding.
It's a walking contradiction. You got a chosen people, but then everybody's chosen. The kingdom of heaven is for Israel, but then the kingdom of heaven is for everyone. This is contradictory. Oh, the Lord loves everyone, but then he hates Esau. That's contradiction, man.
The nation is a spittle.
You can't have that. That's contradiction. It doesn't work. That's why they have to say, oh, well, it changed.
That's why you don't go deep in these things, right? You stay on the surface level.
Yeah. Surface level and rhetoric, and then pick scriptures where we don't have to do that. We could go into the scriptures and we could break down
a page.
And we just go from, and you could go from this, and then another brother would do a lesson on the same topic and use different scriptures and come to the same conclusion. Why? Because it's all one consistent narrative. Isaiah is not going to contradict Jeremiah. Jeremiah is not going to contradict Paul. Paul is not going to contradict Moses.
Because this is the word of the Lord.
Because it's the word of the Lord, man.
But because I said constant. Constant means basically something that doesn't change. It says Malachi 3:6. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed.
The Lord has always determined that it's the Israelites that he was going to be his people, and they were never going to be completely destroyed. He's made that promise for a long time,
and he said it way back, man. When he gave us the told us about the curses and the promises, man. Like you read all through that, man. The Lord never there was punishments if you broke the law. But the Lord never said he would ever give up on his people.
Man. Yeah, there was always mercy.
He's given us into the hand of his enemy like he said he would, and wouldn't like give aid to us in that class for that period of time. But the Lord always had intentions to bring us back. Yeah. That's why he sent us a savior.
Often in the same chapter. That's why you read in the book of Hosea, it's like, oh, I shall have no mercy.
Even told Moses, when you receive the blessing and the curses, you're gonna do these things, and I'm gonna fuck you up because of these things. But I'm gonna bring you back. I'm gonna leave a remnant. These are remnant, so Israel could be saved.
And how many scriptures say that? So to the point there in Romans 9, Paul quoted like 3 different prophecies to say that. Come on, man, the consistency.
Yeah, go another one on that point. James 1:17. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning.
So the Lord has a chosen people according to the seed. And that's how it is. He made a promise. Remember, Vocab said, well, the Lord promised Abraham, but Abraham thought it was his physical seed. What are you talking about?
But this is the thing. This is what gets, because no, he's a damn fucking liar anyway, right? Why would Abraham assume, or why would he not know? Because if that was the case, the Lord would have told him, because he's his friend. Yeah. He might have called him his friend. He would have explained to him. We did. He didn't explain to him.
It was seed. And it was literally because Isaac was his physical seed,
Yeah,
then Jacob, and then the Lord specifically saved the Israelites. Why? Because they were the physical seed.
That's right.
But then Vocab's telling you, oh no, it wasn't. That's not what the scriptures say.
Because where would all this need for selection be going on for then? Because Abraham didn't have just one son. He didn't just have Isaac. He had Ishmael and so on, right? No, it's not him though. It's not Ishmael. Don't worry about him. We don't have another son. It's gonna be this son, and his seed gonna inherit. It's a particular seed line that Lord has chosen from the foundation of the earth.
And at the end of the day, it's very specific. If everybody's rich, nobody's rich. You understand? This is just, if everybody's chosen, then nobody's chosen. You understand how that works? That's a manipulation. If I have a room of 30 people, I say, congratulations, like you're all special and all chosen. You've not said anything. Yeah. You might as well not have said that, because if you've chosen everyone, then you're back to square one. Everybody can't be special. That defeats the whole idea of something being special.
That's something that counteracts that, counterbalances that.
If the whole world was holy, then nothing is holy, because to be holy means to be set apart from something else.
But this is why we have Jacob, the sons of Jacob, Israel, and the sons of Esau. One who I am loved, and the other I have hated. Right? That's the counterbalance, man. To show you the difference.
Yep.
But a difference has to be made. That's why when the Lord said in Deuteronomy 7:6, I made you above all nations, man. That's to be different.
But why would a God that believes everyone's equal even put that in a stipulation in his covenant? It makes no sense. So the whole rhetoric of Christianity on its face falls apart when you actually read the scriptures. And that's why the Satanists destroy them all the time. Because it's like, you're telling me that God loves everyone when I'm reading the Bible where he's killing children. So how make it make sense? Yeah, because he don't love everybody all the time.
Which is the easy answer. It's like you take the power. They can't try to come up and say that he doesn't, innit? And it's like, oh, you look normally give us some waffle around.
Because they want their God to be this all merciful, loving.
But
God
they're not like that.
Exactly.
Morons, man.
Because they want to seem like Ned Flanders, we're just humble people, we love everybody. You're not, you're demons.
You know what I mean? If these Edomites were living by what they preach, supposedly, then everything wouldn't have happened the way it happened.
That's right. And so a world that's being ruled by Christians, effectively, right? Because that's the majority of Edomites religion, right? Then this world should be in harmony and peace, right? But even in your own nation, it's madness.
It's a cruel world, man.
And I say you're out here exporting wars everywhere. Come on, man. That make no sense. Unless you're the devil.
Back in 1 Corinthians 2 and 14 now. It says, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of the Most High, for they are foolishness unto it.
That's why Vocab alone, right? He wants the DNA and all this bullshit. Well, I'll tell you straight, we're not going by DNA. We're going by the Spirit, because we could go based upon the Lord, what the Lord do.
Where's that?
Because it's an exact
DNA in the scriptures.
Yeah, because guess what? They want that proof. They want that physical proof in the way, because they don't believe in the Lord's power. So for instance, if the Lord said, this is what I know. When the Lord comes, right, and people are get beamed up into the chariots, if you're not of the elect, you're not getting in there. Now, do I need to be checking DNA? No, because the Lord already knows. He's a true power.
Yeah. When it says the angel will separate the sheep from the goat.
Yeah. We know that you only really gonna get this truth and actually get it, not pretend to get it, really get this truth if the Lord has chosen you to get it. Then I don't need to do no more scrutiny than that. But a carnal man would need to do scrutiny. So, oh yeah, bro, I need to check your lineage. I don't need to check your lineage. If I give you the truth and you believe and you're delivered, then you're an Israelite. Because that's what the scriptures say. And it's by the Lord's doing. But when you're a carnal man, you need to make sure, because you don't really believe it's the Lord that's guiding everything. You don't believe in the spiritual power of the Lord. That if the Lord prophesy a thing, it's going to happen exactly how he said it. It can't go no other way. So I'm not worried about some Edomite that looks like a Jake being in the kingdom sitting up next to me, because that's impossible in the spirit.
It's like Most High referred to as the Most High.
He Most High. He got it on. He said, our God is a God of knowledge.
Yeah.
So as a spiritual man, I understand these things.
Yeah. This is going to be one Edomite.
But he don't get that. So when we say there's going to be Israelites that look like the other nations, he wants us to give me the proof. I don't need the proof. I know that's what is going to be in the scriptures. I just preach the word, and whoever is meant to receive it is going to receive it.
Yeah.
And guess what? The man who's not meant to receive it are not going to receive it. It's out of my hands. And that's what a spiritual man does. They humble themselves to the Lord, man, and what the Lord is doing.
I've got a couple of precepts just on this old genealogy thing, right? Because there's Israelites that couldn't prove their family line, the same as we can't, right? But they were trying to come back, right? Like we're all trying to come back. We're all trying to come back home to who we are, right? But we've got no evidence, no physical birth records
28
and
and 45.
DNAs. And we ain't got all that sort of stuff, right? But the scripture said this about those types of people, right? Is First Ezra chapter 5 verse 40 says, "But unto them that said Nehemiah and Atharias that they should not be partakers of the holy things till they arose up an higher priest clothed with doctrine and truth, who knew the truth." We should talk about Yahweh Shai, and spiritually he knows, right? That's why when he was going around picking out Israelites, come follow me. Like he didn't say, "Oh yeah, what should one song?"
Yeah.
Man, he asked that. Man, he said, "You're gonna come from me." He already knew in the spirit who this man were, right?
The elect are being gathered together by this word.
But that's what I got next.
Yeah.
Right. This is Baruch chapter 4. I'm going to read from verse 36. "O Jerusalem, look about thee toward the east, and behold the joy that cometh unto thee from the Most High. Lo, thy sons come, right? Which whom thou sentest away, right? So his sons were the ones that were sent away. We should all know the story of the Israelites. What happened to them.
And why were they sent away? Were they sent away by man, or was it through the Spirit? Because the Lord is the one that's orchestrating it.
Yep. So you know exactly where they're gone to, right? So lo, thy sons come, who now sent us away. They come gathered together from the east to the west by the word of the Holy One. So we ain't gonna go around with no DNA tests and other type of tests. You got documentations. We ain't go. This is not how we do things. Through the Spirit, this word that's teached or preached, right? The spirits will resonate, because not even every Israelite is going to resonate, because they're not chosen.
They're not all Israel.
But the ones that we're focusing on are the elect.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we're really concerned about, right? No matter what they look like, but if the spirit is resonating with what we're saying, then
But they want something more carnally definitive.
Carnally, yeah.
So we don't need nothing carnally definitive.
These things are not of this world, right?
And that's why Volcam alone can't understand it. He can't get it because he's a carnal man.
And even then, it's like that's not how DNA testing works either.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not at all.
And all this ancestry tree, all that kind of stuff, right? That only goes back 200, 300 years, man. That's nothing in history.
You actually very difficult to find out who your great grandparents are using. DNA is not as accurate as what people think it is. But Esau. So when they try and pick holes in all the 12 tribe sign, the 12 tribe sign was given to us in the spirit. Now you can choose to not believe it. That's fine. That's not going to change nothing.
But that's why it's the thing about faith, right?
Yeah.
You man don't already have no faith. So
choose.
there's nothing to discuss it, really.
If you don't want to receive it, and I'll say this, the Hebrew that we speak.
Yep.
Oh yeah, but so basically, if we don't have a record of Moses speaking the Hebrew, we don't have the Hebrew. Well, my question to you is, how did man speak the Hebrew in the first place? Did you ever think about that? The first men that were created on the earth, how did they know how to speak in the first place? Guess what? The Lord it tells you that. He put it in the inward, the sixth part.
Yeah, cogitation.
In speech. The Lord is the one that put the understanding of how to speak in their minds in the first place. Just like the prophecies. When Isaiah wrote the prophecies, where did it come from? A book? Or was it put into his mind to bring it out? But in vocab alone, to him, it's insane that we would know how to pronounce the Lashon Kodash. So you're saying the Lord can't give a man that?
Well, you're talking about that. I was speaking about this, right? It's not the same, but it came to mind, didn't it? He speaks about the Gentiles that do things naturally according to the law. It's just something that's inherent in them. It's something that the Most High has given them.
Inspiration.
And that's how we kind of deal with the spirit thing. Like it's given to us to believe in.
No, we don't have no record in terms of no recording of how they spoke Hebrew in the ancient world. We don't need one. We know that according to the scriptures, we would need it in these last days, and the Lord has provided.
But it's okay for the small hats to make up their language.
That's fine. No, it's fine for them. That's fine.
But they don't know either.
But with us, we get all the scrutiny. But that's fine. You can scrutinize all you want, but the scripture says we would call on the name of the Lord. Well, in order for us to do that, He's going to have to give us the language, and he did that. And that's what our belief is. And again, it goes back to a spiritual belief. If the Lord said he was going to do this, then we go on faith that he's done it.
It's the same thing when the Most High, revealed himself to Moses, right? Moses didn't have like, oh, I've got documentation. This is the name of the Lord from back then, and we're going to the Israelites now to call upon. No, the Lord told him what his name was. He gave him to it directly. It wasn't something that had backlog of history. You know what I mean? For the Israelites to be like, oh yeah.
Well, they did know of the name.
Knew of it, but it was not like
But it wasn't. They had other names. They didn't know that was a specific name. Because they did know of the name. It's not that was the first time they ever heard the name.
no, that's not what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
oh, okay.
But what I'm saying that when Moses come to them, like he was given the name. It wasn't like you know what I'm saying, he didn't bring the records out.
Spoke to him.
He didn't bring the records out
record
to show man that this is his name. No,
No.
he
It got
received it,
established
and
from
he
them.
yeah, exactly.
I get.
Let's do once again, not quite there, but in a similar vein, right? So 2 Timothy 3:16, where it says, all scripture is given by inspiration of the Most High,
Right.
and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in right.
So the way he makes it seem is like it's impossible for the Lord to undo a man and reborn the Lashawan Kodash in the earth, but for us. But if that's impossible, then it's impossible for any of this to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Then it's impossible that Isaiah got prophecies. It's impossible that, because where did he get it from? Did Isaiah get the prophecies from in a book? Or was it given to him directly through inspiration? So that shows you one thing. He don't really believe all that happened. Because it's impossible for him to think that.
Because if it happened then, why can't it happen today?
That's my thing. If the Lord can give the first people on earth was given the Lashawan Kodash back then why couldn't a man be given it today and just start speaking it? In fact, isn't there even a instance in the book of Acts where people were given language and just started speaking it? Or did they sit there and read it in a book? Or was it were they inspired with the knowledge?
Even with the prophet Samuel, what was it in the beginning? I forgot who his master was. Was it Eli? Maybe I forget who. But he was going on. He was like, "Are you calling me?" It was like, "No, I'm not calling you." And then by the third time, which his master was like, "You know what, Samuel? Most High, that's the voice of the Most High that's calling." So the Most High was, basically speaking to Samuel, right? Verbally.
Yep. Now that could happen today. Now, if a man said that he heard the voice, I wouldn't say he's crazy, but I'd have to be like, well, what did he say? Now, if he starts telling me something which is contradictory to the scriptures, then you gotta let that guy go. That was Satan.
Exactly.
If he starts saying some madness that's not what's in the scriptures, that's when you gotta let it go.
Sacramentos.
Yeah, some craziness, and that's how it works.
Well, there's a thing, seeing the things you've been burnt, man. Some left.
That's it. Yeah. That's it.
Now, this is for Ephesians 2:8. For by grace are ye saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it is a gift of Messiah.
Right? It's a gift, man, and it's spiritually given. Like, you can't make yourself receive this word, man. It's something that the Lord has to open you up in order for you to receive it, man. And that's a very spiritual thing in itself. And these guys that vocab can't understand that, can't get that. Because Christianity isn't spiritually received, man. It's just rhetoric that's repeated over and over, and anyone can get that. But this thing right here, this is the real. And you can't, even if you want to get it, if it's not for you, you ain't gonna get it. It's gonna be stumbling blocks. And it could be something simple. I remember like one guy was stumbling over whether you could drink wine or not. And we're like, what's wrong with this guy, man? It's not that deep. Like, yeah, you could drink wine. It's in it. It's stumbling. I don't know, man.
You gotta drink. That's
stumbling. Where, by stumbling over.
Look at this from 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 11. And for this cause, God shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. And that's the spirit that's over this earth right now, because the devil's ruling, man. The spirit of deception is over everybody, right? So they don't know the truth, right? And the people that are going to receive the truth are a very small number on the earth. So yeah, we're going to think unbelievable because we don't have a billion man behind us, right? We don't need a billion people, right? It says that they all might be damned who believe not the truth. So you can have faith. You have faith in something, but if it ain't the truth, it's vanity, But have pleasure in unrighteousness. For we are bound to give thanks always to the Most High for you, brethren beloved of the Lord, because God hath from the beginning chosen
brethren
you.
beloved. So it's not everyone ain't beloved. That's it. The ones who the Lord loves, the elect, the ones who the Lord won't give this truth.
that God has chosen from the beginning, chosen you to salvation through the sanctification of the Spirit and belief in the truth, which is the faith in the truth. Now you guys believe in something. It just ain't right.
Mhm.
You know, we have the truth, and that truth, that faith in that truth sounds
Sanctified.
crazy to you. You know, but like what I said, we're sanctified in that truth, man. That's what makes us separate.
Yeah, the idea of that it's funny because the idea that these other nations have to go into slavery, how can it be crazy when it's already happened in the
Yeah, yeah.
scriptures? Is you can read about man's, but David put man under subjection. So how is it crazy thing?
Most I told him to go do that.
Now, how many times did the Lord grant Israel vengeance over their enemies? And we say the Lord's going to give us vengeance, and they're making it look like it's something that's way out of there and it's just totally out of the book.
Most I don't like. You don't know the
The
most.
Lord sent hitters in on man. The Lord sent Barak here, and Barak got man down. They chinged him up proper, man. He chinged him up, put it, he sunk it.
Yeah.
Was it Ehud or was it Barak?
No,
It wasn't Barak.
It was Ehud, didn't it?
It was Ehud.
The King of Moab, innit?
Yeah, the King of Moab, yeah. Chinged him up.
Eglon.
Eglon, yeah.
He was on that
That
knife
next
in-
man, that woman are putting nails through man's head and all kind of things. Man.
Yeah. Left-handed Benjamin.
Yeah. You got the Israelites conquering nations and wiping their foot on a man's face and all kind of thing, and the Lord sanctioned
Samuel
that.
lining man up.
Yo, the
That's it, man.
Lord was so on a different level. The Lord let generations go past for the get back, and that's a prime example. They'll be the first one to say, "Oh, Jesus Christ," I don't even like, but that's how they say it. Same yesterday as he was today. That means that he was down the Amalekites, and he got vexed because man didn't kill everything.
Yeah.
He got vexed. I was like, hold on now, I can hear bleating of sheep. What's going on? Man said everything must dead. That's how much of a fervent anger the Lord had towards Amalek. He said, kill dog, cat, horse,
And that's how I separated you off from the scriptures, man. Because you're not in it. You're not in the scriptures at all.
bird. Man have a pet monkey, everything. And then got vexed because Saul didn't completely wipe them out.
And not even just them bad things as well.
And they weren't even the ones who did it.
Mhm.
So when you're talking about slavery, that was in the past. Well, hold on. If you look at the timeline from when Amalek violated Israel coming out of Israel, you gotta go way in the future before you get to. You remember, you gotta go through the whole Joshua and the conquering of the land.
Yep.
Then you gotta go through the time of the judges.
Yep.
To get to Saul. That's bare generations. There weren't nobody alive that was alive from when that happened. And then he said, yo, remember what Amalek did.
Yeah,
So hold on. So that means the Lord went in there and had man chopping up. And when they was going after Amalek, let's break it down what was happening. Man weren't rolling in there on some humane executions. We're talking about the war man them. We're talking that would declared a war crime. Them man didn't do nothing. They were just living in their villages, chilling, doing their usual wickedness, but they didn't do nothing to us at that time. And man said, yo, dog, whether it was spear, one man's rolling with a spear, because every man's got their weapon of choice. Man are sharpening up the spear, sharpening up sword and machete. And then man went in there and everything, old, young, chopped down brutally slain. They would have been bare bawling, bare screaming, oh, please help. Oh. Chop, looking like Hotel Rwanda up in there, like looking like shooting dogs. Begging for mercy. A man just getting chopped. Chopped. Getting licked off. Serious business was happening. Pregnant women.
Yeah.
What do you think this is, man? I'm being dead serious, man. And these people were not born during the time that when the original offense occurred. So that proves that when we're saying that you Edomites are going to pay for what your forefathers did, there's precedent for it in the scriptures.
It's not far-fetched, man.
But they make it seem like it's some alien thing that we're saying, like we're just some madmen.
Because you've got trips in that shoulder up.
Yeah, like there's precedent for this.
I'm sorry, Slot, was you finished with yours, bro?
Yeah, man.
So Psalms 137 from 7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Eden and the day of Jerusalem, who said,
So we've been asked to remember. It's not like we have a choice. We've been told to remember.
It's recorded.
exactly, yeah, that's it. You said, race it, even to the foundation thereof. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee,
as thou hast served us.
So that means we're not going to be barling. When when we get judgment, when we bring judgment against you Edomites, we're not going to do it in some mournful way, like, you know, I don't really want to have to do this, like, because I'm a good Christian. And nah, man. Listen, man. Even Tupac said, "Revenge is like the Swedish joy next to getting panani," and it's true. When a man violate you and you get him back, it's sweet. It's like honey.
And this is the reason why the Lord says to remember to evoke those feelings, man. To not have mercy on these devils, man, because they don't deserve it.
Yeah.
That's why the Lord says remember these things. Like we're not bringing all these things up just for no reason. You have to pay.
Yeah, you got
know what I'm
and
saying?
you're going to pay.
Mm.
And we're not. The Bible tells, can we get that be in readiness to revenge all this to get there? Them man acting like this is no. You're supposed to be like that in the spirit. All you Israelites are supposed to know that this is our enemy, right? But the scripture says you be peaceable. So we're gonna be peaceable. We're gonna be professional. Hell, we'll even help your ass out sometimes to put coals on your head. Or some Edomite. Oh, we'll hold the door. You know, who carry ourselves with civility and dignity. We're not gonna be like animals, but in the back of our mind, we know when the green light comes, you're gonna get what the duck get. You're gonna get what you're supposed to get.
Well, he on this side, he's waiting for the green light himself. You see it, you see it with certain of these Edomites that they'll laugh and joke with you, but you know it in their mind.
They'll flip on you.
Looking for the first strike, innit?
And so we play the same game.
Yeah.
So we hate these Edomites, man. But that don't mean you're gonna act like an animal. But you're supposed to be in your mind. You can't wait for the enemy to get what the duck get. They're meant to get it. But Christianity, you man, they make you feel bad for feeling like that. Like you're supposed to love him. You're supposed to forgive. No, you forgive your brother, man. Don't forgive Esau. Esau's gonna pay.
You got the one in the Apocrypha says,
I think
yeah, and that bringeth joy. One is to see the fall of your enemy.
There you go. There you go.
That's not a bad thing. This is the patience and the faith of the saints. That's why we bring out these scriptures, man. That's what the saints are like.
Now,
That's what they would
you
desire.
see what you just said right there, right? If you were to ask
What is the
a
patience
Christian,
of the-
yeah, like, what is the patience face of the saints, yeah, they wouldn't say that. That's because that part of the scripture is not
omitted.
part of the rhetoric.
Yeah,
It's omitted. And on purpose it's omitted because then you'd be like, yeah, well, they led us into captivity, so we're supposed to patiently suffer to the day where they get their payback.
Right.
And so we're gonna hold on to that.
Because is that not what the disciples asked Lord when he came out of the tomb? Like, I went out this time and saw the king to Israel. That means the Romans are gonna go down.
And they're gonna pay.
You know what I'm saying? Because we've been occupied by the Romans. That's the only way you would have solved the issue. Take Romans down. Because everyone was looking for it. Even the zealots, man, they were looking for the takedown, bro.
They just that they weren't following the spiritual
Be
path.
spiritual. That's
They
it.
weren't following the designated route that was put out by the spiritual.
But they was all in their mind, though. Even
They
the
try to
disciples
beat
was in their
Google. You
mind.
can't beat Google, man. You're gonna mess yourself up. If it said turn left, man.
But it's all Israelites' mind for the kingdom to be restored and the Roman, the
Yeah,
enemies to be taken
enemy.
down.
But now Jake wanna assimilate themselves, and they think they're a part of the enemy. They think they're in the enemy's house, and they think it's their house. Like when man work for Walmart, and they think they own Walmart. Listen, working in a house, right? There's different type of stakeholders. Yeah, this is Esau's house, but if you're here, he's allowed you to be here as a servant. You're not an owner. This is not your thing. You think it's your thing, but it's not. And they remind you every time that it's not your thing. It's not your thing. They set this up here. You're just here, and they allow you to. Oh, well, I'm British. You get these coons. They want to be. Yes, I'm black and I'm British. We're part of the empire. Like, no, you're not, bro. You're under the empire. There's a difference. This is the queen and them. This is their thing. They have ownership. You are subject.
Because you used the house, the analogy of the house made me think of the difference between leasehold and freehold. Where it's like your leasehold, like you can buy the house, but at the end of the leasehold period, like,
Goes back to who owns it.
Goes back to the.
Oh, I'm American. You get these coons and they get all patriotic. I'm an American, bro. America is the house of Esau that he brought you there to work for him. Yeah, you are not.
That's a plantation, bro.
That's a plantation. You're not an American in the way of he knows you're different to him. You have a different position in the house.
You're not equal to him.
The man that owns the company and you working for the company,
Big
you're
difference.
into. It's a big difference. Meaning you're expendable. You could go. He still owns that company. That's why Walmart will fire you. You can't fire who? Yeah, he's dead. Okay. The owner of it is the owner. You working at the checkout and you got just because you wear the badge and you say we, it's a different type of we to the guy who actually owns the company getting the
And
dividends.
then if he wants to sell it, he can sell it.
Yeah.
Because he owns it.
He owns it. You
You
ain't got
can't
no
even
say in that. So what they've done is they've fooled Jake through the civil rights unit and through citizenship into thinking that Jake, you are a part of them when we're not. We're separate.
You screw yourself, because I was going to give the example. You get certain countries, you can never be a citizen. I think it's like them Saudi countries. Like, you can never be a citizen of Saudi Arabia. You either are or you're not.
Yeah.
You can reside there.
Yeah.
You can have permanent residency.
What they think because they let you play sports and represent them. If I have a slave, listen, when the way in the ancient world, a man's house included his slaves. It was extended onto the slaves, but the slaves were not like how can I put this? They weren't what's the word I'm looking for? Naturalized. Like for instance, yeah, if I had a house, right? You're my uncle and you're my brother. We are the house. We're the backbone of the house. It is us by blood. We own it. But if you have a slave and I have a slave, technically, that slave is part of our house. He's under our banner and under our name because we own him. So when he goes out there and does some BS, it comes back to us.
Yeah.
But he's not actually got rights in the house, meaning inheritance and things of this nature, because he's just a asset that the house owns, like the cattle. It's all part of our economy or part of our house. And people don't realize that that's the situation that you're really in. So even though we bring him in and he'll say we, because he is part of the we, because he's part of our team, it's still my team. And at any moment in time, I can free him and to leave or whatever the case may be, and it ain't we no more. But because they don't know these ancient concepts of how servitude works and how you could be incorporated into someone's house. You say, I'm of the house, I come from the house of Batiatus. Man's a slave. But he's gonna say he's from the house of Batiatus. He's gonna have the emblem on, he's gonna have the logo on his damn shirt, the brand. But is he Batiatus, like, of blood? No. So it's a big difference. But Esau's fooled you, Jake, into thinking that
They put a nice term in it.
you're an African
You're a
American.
slave. You're still a slave.
Oh, I'm an African American, and then the niggas is there all patriotic, yeah. When your fathers are slaves, not owners. It's not your thing. That's why the first thing they say on Twitter is get them out. Because they don't consider you ready. The same thing here in Britain. They don't consider you ready to be British.
You know what it is? Jake mainly stay around other Jake, so they think that what they're seeing is like Edomite acceptance. It's like, no, when you go to areas where there ain't a lot of, the Esau lets you know what time it is.
They don't accept you. Listen, when France won France 98, yeah, them man found it hard to accept that them niggas was on the team. But they won. But even when they won, there was still a lot of French that were protesting because they're like, well, Africa won. Because they knew that Turim and all them, man, are not really French, are they? But they are French because they speak French and they call themselves French and they got the citizenship. But we all know what's not being said is that, but they're not.
They're children of immigrants.
Are they? They're not French.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, man? Just face it.
I forgot which brother said it, man. But he basically was just like, when you speak to someone from another land and you say, oh, imagine someone from France, the first person they're not thinking about Henri. You know, they're thinking about Macron and them.
Europeans, like
European.
white Europeans.
So they messed up the whole idea of identity. And at the end of the day, even you being an American, because you get Jeremy 28 and 45, even you being an American and being an American citizen, there's a partition between you and the rest. Because you, Jake, will always be subservient and beneath in America because you're two different people with two different destinies, and the spirit is working on you differently. The spirit's working on Esau to rule and be uplifted, and the spirit's working against you, Jake, to be oppressed and be cursed. So you can never be equal because spiritually you're in you might as well be in two different worlds. Just get Deuteronomy 28 and 45.
Deuteronomy 28:45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee.
So these curses were going to be attached to our DNA, so to speak. And that's why, listen, did you know, yeah, that, and this is real statistics, that the children that so-called black men have with white women are not they don't have there's no socio-economic advantage to them. Did you know that? That actually makes no difference. If your dad's black, yeah, your mom's white, it doesn't help you in life. You tend to have the same outcomes. You know why that is? Goes back to the seed. You can't escape. Them curses hit like a mother. Them curses will hit you. Just the other day, one of the dons, you might not know him, but he went one of the local schools. He's having problems with his woman because she's Greek. And you know how them Edomite women are. They'll get with Jake and it's all fun and games until they realize it's not fun no more. Then they break up and then they start persecuting the kids because now those little dark-skinned kids, when they're not cute anymore, they're growing up and they're just niggas. And now those niggas is making it hard for them to go back to where they really want to be, which is with Esau. Their minds right now, they're grown up and now they want to get with Esau. But then Esau's like, but you got two little nigglets running around. It's worse. It's not even that you got kids. You got a black kid. So now he's like, I want to be with a white woman. You know what I'm saying? Like they're mud sharks. They call them mud sharks, yeah. So they start taking it out on the kids. And if you go on TikTok, there's a whole section of TikTok on social media of so-called mixed race kids talking about how racist their mother is and how she treats them and how their whole family was racist and shit. They don't understand why they even had them in the first place. Now, this guy I know personally, the woman is basically trying to kick out her 12-year-old son, calling him all kind of racist names, saying, oh, you need to take your son. She wants to keep the little one, but then when she's out with the little one's saying that she's making racist remarks about black people. And then when she's saying, oh, mommy, you can't say that because I'm black, she's like, shut up, bitch. Now, how are those children are now basically facing self-hatred? They're being treated a certain way because of who their father is. Because you can't escape the curses, man. You don't know what you do. That's why you got a so-called white Jake catching hell. They be catching hell like niggas catch hell. They won't even know why. That's because the curses, you can't get around them. It's a spirit. It's something that's spiritually attached to your seed. So even if every Jake ended up looking not like a Jake no more, what you think the curses see color? The curses is just gonna come down on you, man. The curses is gonna catch up with you because it's attached to the seed.
That's what I think.
It's attached to your daddy. So you hear your daddy's life story, your granddad's life story, you're just catching hell. Sometimes I'm sitting there, my granddad's telling me about his life, and I'm just like, boy, there's peak out here. Damn. And then his dad, and then it carries on and it passes on. That's how the game goes, man.
So that's why it speaks about the curse overtaking us. It's just the way it's there.
Yeah.
Can't get away from it.
Oh, you can't. It's like there's nothing you can do. The tribes try and do that. So that's why they try and think that if you marry into the so-called white man's family, you escape the curses. But yeah, if you're a woman, you won't escape the curses, but your children are Edomites. So that's why they won't escape the curses. But if you're a man, you might line up your children and they still gonna catch hell.
The worst thing is sometimes he's a so-called white Jake anyway, so the curses follow.
The curses is gonna follow you, man. The curses is not based upon skin color. Yeah. Even though it might appear that it manifests himself that way, it don't matter. You bleach out your skin, you're still gonna catch hell. Go on.
Yeah. So it says, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy power to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded.
Yep, go on.
And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder.
These curses are specifically going to be upon this people for a sign and a wonder. What's a sign? meaning it's gonna stand out. These people are gonna stand out, and you see that with the Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. They stand out. People are like, "Rah, look at these people.
Signs,
Look at this. Look at this."
signs and indications.
People make fun of the fatherlessness and the this, that, and that, this and the other, and all the different things you find in the curses. They say, "Oh, you've been here all this time and you can't get nowhere." But this other people come and they get somewhere. Yeah, the scripture tells you, "The stranger shall come among thee and go up high, and you shall go down low." It's the curses. We shall borrow but not lend. That's just how the game goes, man. It's the curses, man. And it manifests itself in all different type of ways. And you can't escape it. That's why we need salvation. Because you can't escape it. If the curses don't catch you one way, they're gonna catch you another. When you think you subverted it one way, it's gonna come down another way. Look at even these Jakes, these guys, man, that sell their soul, their kids still catch hell. They catch hell.
Look at Shannon Sharp right now.
And this is the thing, man. Like the curses of listed, there's a lot of them, right? They ain't necessarily going to hit you simultaneously.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It could be one, a couple of things here and there, and another thing later on further down the line. It's not something that you say, "Oh yeah, but they ain't got all these curses on them." But it's individual. That don't mean they ain't catching the curses, bro. You know what I'm saying? These are just a selection of curses that you may receive,
and then as a people, you're gonna see it.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. It's collective.
that's right. We'll suffer it. All our people suffer, man. Different things.
And it's constant, and it's like man's trying to get out of it, and they can't get out of it. Jacob been trying to overcome them generational curses, and they can't. It just gets worse.
Because you be born to a curse. And then we come into this world, a curse. We leave this world cursed, man. You know, that's what scripture say. So we can't really get out of it because it's that perpetual cycle until Yahweh Shai comes and actually physically delivers us out of this situation, man. And the new covenant is fully established with us, man.
Yep.
You know.
Because even that's a prophecy, right? Shall see servants with horses, and princes walking as servants upon the earth. The Lord is the one that set that up.
And this is why we need that salvation. It's why we, the Israelites, need that salvation. Because part of those curses is that we'll be in the hand of our enemies. That's exactly where we are right now.
Oh, well, you're in the hand of your enemies. They control everything, man.
You know?
If you so-called African American in America per se have no power in America, you don't sit down and set any policy or anything and bring it to pass. You are the result of policies. You do not say, there's no group of Jake that sit there in a room somewhere and says, "You know what, man, this is what we're going to do and we're going to make it happen."
This is going to benefit us.
No! All the mans that's got any kind of influence are working for the other team, instituting their policies and their things. There's groups of Edomites that sit there and say, "This is what's going to happen in 2 years, 4 years, and we need to raise this person up and put this guy in position and do this and do that, and we're going to pass this law and that law." You Negroes don't bring no laws about. You don't. Oh, wait, but the so-called black people that's politicians, they ain't coming up with the policies. They're frontmen. They're just there.
They don't follow orders.
They're out of there. You got no power in America. You got no power in Britain. We don't control this thing. We don't control the interest rates of the Bank of England and all that. We don't control none of that. We don't set the rules and the laws that's going to be passed. Brexit, what they're going to do. We don't have that kind of power. Even one Jake said, even in a democracy, if you're the minority, you definitely don't have that power. If you're going to believe in democracy. He was like, "I don't know what these niggas in England think they're going to do. We're 3% of the population. We not got no power here. Even in democracy, you don't have power."
Lamentation, 2:17. Mr. from 16 says, "All thine enemies have opened their mouths against thee. They hiss and gnash the teeth. They say, We have swallowed her up. Certainly, this is the day that we looked for. We have found, we have seen it. The Lord has done that which he had devised. He has fulfilled his word that he had commanded in the days of old. He has thrown down and has not pitied."
Now, you might look at it and think, "No, we all right." That's because you don't know what we were at the height. At the height of what we were during the times of David, we're talking about a close-knit group of tribes that was extremely national. Bonded together like. And I mean real bonds. Most people don't know what a real family bond is nowadays because most families are fragmented. Like, we don't even live in the same place. We're all over the place. Might see each other once a year kind of thing. We're talking about a nation of people that was like brother to brother, clan to clan. Man, put up the bat signal and it's peak. That's the type of people we were. We can't do that right now. Right now, you lucky to get half your family to back you on a motive. On a serious motive. Hell no. We're all disjointed and broken up. We're talking about back in the day, man, fling up the bat signal and every man sending their warriors. And they all like that.
Book a fucking family holiday, but you know what I mean? Like, it's so long. It's so long sometimes.
We had structure. We had actual leaders and nobles that worked together and planned for the good of the people. We don't have that. We don't have no real leadership, or we don't operate as a nation. It's languishing. We got a bunch of what's it called? Puppets that are controlled by other nations. We don't have that of our own. So we're a very weakened and destroyed and disjointed people to the point we don't even know who our brother is. We don't even know who our brother is, even if you don't just look at one tribe like Benjamin. We don't treat each other like we're all from the same tribe. I mean, we're West Indian and that stuff, but it's not really that deep, is it? Like, let's be honest. Man will rob you quick. You roll up in the wrong ends, man will itch to take that chain. Because we're so disjointed and messed up as a people. We don't see each other as what we really are. Whereas there was a time where you could go anywhere and you're going to get that love. You're going to get that unity because man will go, oh yeah, boom. Boom said like, oh yeah, I know my man from round, so yeah, I know that lineage there. Yo, come true, family. It's all good. You're safe here. You're not safe around your own people here.
Even as a sojourner in another land, when you came back home, man should be able to cook what, man?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because you're of that tribe or whatever, that would never happen.
Oh,
it
man.
never happened today, bro.
But if they let you in, you might die, man.
Yeah,
because we're so broken and destroyed of a people. There's no sense of real nationality or real community or anything. It's all fake. It's all watered down and demonic.
There's no common consensus amongst us, man. There's no morality that we have the same amongst us and nothing like that.
We're broken people that's just there for the whims of Esau and these nations to manipulate. That's all we are, man. Just a bunch of individuals in there that Esau's running and controlling. We're not really a part of anything in the world. No one really cares what we got to say. No one's looking to us because we're not really a people.
Well, that's why Scripture says in the Deuteronomy, when they say you should be the tail. They should be the head and we should be the tail. We're just here.
We're just here, man. Existing and catching hell.
Following what everybody else.
But there was a time when we was a strong nation, organized, with proper structure, and man had to show respect. Ain't nobody gonna respect us, man. You can't even get order in your house with your woman. Now, where's the respect gonna be?
Which going back to what we kind of started off with, like, we, now that we're then coming from that to then come and say, no, we're the authority on something. They're like, wait, we're not used to listening to you. No. When was the last time you had anything?
They don't want to. That's why that's one of the reasons they look down on us, man.
Oh, you see that? We all see that at work, man. You be just saying something. Yeah, no, it needs to be done this way. He's just like, what do you know? It's like, I know what I know. And then when they do it that way, it's just like, oh yeah, they don't want to give you the props for it, man.
And this is the thing. The same thing with the scriptures, right? We know, right? We know, right? And it's gonna manifest in time, and that we knew.
Oh man, we got the truth.
Because nothing's happening according to what you're saying. Let's be real. No, nothing's happening.
Bro,
we're just open.
Like I said, I was all up in that Christian church here, and it was insanity. Like, I was trying to make it make sense, and I couldn't. I was like, what is this person talking about? It's just their rhetoric. And, especially you Pentecostals, man. The music was all right, and that's how they get you. They get you with the music. They start getting the spirits up and then just put it on repeat and the mantra. It's really a cult.
That's a tap in the feet.
That's what it is. That's when you're there, like, at the end of the service here, they'll ask, like, oh, does anyone want to give their life to Jesus? And blatantly, no, everybody wants to just go home. And then what they'll do is they'll just like, okay, and then they'll keep pushing it, like, because I know. Next thing you know, and then the pastor will come up and the choir singing, and they'll repeat the same song over. And what it does, music can be used to invoke energy. And then all of a sudden you start feeling spiritual when it's really the music. If they didn't play none of that music, man would just be like, yeah, let's go home.
Hey, that's why the white church is dead.
Exactly.
Ain't no one gonna die on the chair. Like,
They use music to get you, because music can bring up your spirits. Music can be powerful. You know what I mean? And the bass and all that. That's how they get you, man. With all that, all that.
hey, that's why my what's that pastor they on the TV, the white pastor, Stuart something.
Swagger.
It's like that's why they do releasing all those fucking hours, man.
They think the music will have you feeling like the spirit of the Lord is in the building. Next thing you know, you see people going, oh yeah, I'll give my life to Christ. Like, bro, 5 minutes ago, you just wanted to go home. So they started playing all the music, like, and repeating the same thing over and over again. And it's a joke.
I just want to bring this out in the previous.
And notice we don't do that.
Thanks for
The spirit is in the scriptures, man, and the understanding, not in the music and whipping you up into a frenzy.
entertainment.
Yeah.
You know. Listen to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5 and verse 1. So then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, right? So that's it. We come with this authority that we have because we know these scriptures, man. And you people, you're disgusted by it. You're offended by this word because you're offended by the word of Yahweh Shai, just like those men were back then, right? You don't want to accept what we got to say, right? But that's okay.
And you can't
You know?
accept it because at the end of the day, it is against you. And that's why another thing, when you come into this truth, you have to accept the fact that your enemies, especially your enemies, if we're talking about Esau, you have to accept that Esau can't accept what we're saying.
No.
Because it would be insane of Esau to really accept it. Because where do you go from there?
Yeah.
You can't accept it. So the only way,
now.
the only way they can keep their sanity is to believe that what we're saying is a lie. So Esau actually is predisposed to have to believe it. Because who would want to believe, if you're an Edomite, would you really want to believe what we're saying?
Prophecy
You
says
take a chance.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? If you're an Israelite now, then there's something in it, yeah. But if you're an Edomite, bro, I don't want to know none of this. Man start telling me about how I'm gonna go into slavery and then destroy it. I'm like, I don't want to.
Well, Jake didn't want to hear it. When Jeremiah was like, "Look, man, you gonna go."
You go drink this cup. You go drink this
I
cup.
don't want to hear that. But Esau's thing is deadly, man. That shit will have a man, bugging out. Man might go do some crazy stuff. Man.
But this is the thing. Prophecy dictates, and these Edomites going to fight.
They're
They're going to resist until the very end.
Don't
man.
expect he's gonna
You know?
go, oh yeah,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I'm
now.
an Edomite, and I'm going into slavery and all this stuff and all that. But maybe if he's got a BDSM fetish, but most of the Edomites gonna be like, nah, man, I ain't trying to hear that. They're gonna find a way around it, like Volca.
So they made no account of his labors. I said they don't amount us to shit. So when we speak, we just our opinions, our words don't mean nothing to them.
And you see that, like, the argument that the so-called black man has done nothing good for America, has not, then you're an idiot then.
Yeah,
If you think about it, yeah, then you're low IQ. Because why would you bring a bunch of people that have
Can't do
no
that.
absolute benefit to you and just put them in your house and then claim you got a high IQ? It's like me having a business, yeah, and I just hire a bunch of useless men that are just violent. They don't really.
you put animals in
Yeah,
the
they
yard
just
and
serve
pack up
no
the yard.
purpose, yeah. And I just have them in my house for 400
I
years.
thought it'd be all right. No.
You'd be like, well, who brought them here? You did.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
kept them there? You did. So how are
Your
you
fault.
high IQ? When the fact of the matter is, all Jakes are not criminally minded. All Jakes are not criminals.
We played a big part in your empire, man.
Man, Jake work good. And Jake bust sweat, man. Listen, I'll tell man about, maybe not these younger Jakes. Well, let me tell you something about my dad's. This brother, our dad's generation, them man bust sweat and they were good at what they do. Even to this day, if you want, let's say you want to get your painter and decorating, I got enough cousins, yeah, and enough uncles that they'll do the job and it'll be done pristine. Pristine. Yeah? Them man know how to bust work. You see them West Indian man from back in the day, them man got backs, yeah? Them man know how to work hard. They bust sweat, drink beer, ice water, yeah? And then bust hard sweat doing work and they do it properly, man. Mix matter and all them stuff. Our people ain't never been no people which is incompetent and lazy. Men have been hard workers out here. That's why you had us. You didn't have us, but then while we were doing all that, they would call us lazy to keep us down because they have to say negative things about us to keep us in our place. But don't pretend that we have not always shown excellence. As long as you give man the training, man will show excellence. We've never been a people that's lacking in intelligence and ability and skill and ingenuity. That's not true. We're not just all pookies, running around illiterate. No, man, that's not true at all. That's the lie. In fact, most Jake are not like that. If you look at it as a broad, maybe in the depths of the ghettos,
concentrated area.
in a concentrated area, you're gonna get some madness. But all Jake ain't like that.
Yep.
My family ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? It's a lie that they portray like every Jake is just this wild animal gun toting drug dealer. No, it's not. That's not true. They actually make up a minority.
Yeah, because the Negro can't make a gun, so I don't know how you get guns.
Bro, when Jake put his mind to do something, ain't nobody do it better. That's a fact. And that's why we were very good assets in helping you build America. That's why you had us. All right, man. But now the whole thing is we're useless, we're causing all the problems. You know what I mean? Like we're nothing good. America would be great if they weren't here. We're to blame, right? Britain, the same thing in Britain. Oh, these West Indians. We're just knife crime. The only thing we are is knife crime. This is the facts. 99.9% of black boys in London don't carry knives. The man them that's carrying the knife are a very small few man them that's really about chinging man down and they're on business. Then you get the couple man that's on the edge of it. They're just around it, but really they don't. You work with man that. You know how many men I work with that? They're bad boys, but they go work and they do their thing because they don't really want to be out on the street. Ching. They're not road man. But if they need to get down on someone, they will get down. And then you just get the normal dudes that's just a carpenter or doing his work.
His family.
There's 99.9% of Jake are not involved in gangs. They're not. They're around it. They see it. They might have a cousin who's in a gang, but they're not in the gang. They just happen to be in the area. But Esau, if you let Esau tell the story, every black boy in London is just walking around with a knife and just shanking each other. Like that's all that's happening. There ain't no man working. You know what I mean? They're not working. They're not doing nothing. They're just killing each other. If you let Esau tell the story, oh yeah, then why did you bring us here? Oh, I know why you brought us here, to rebuild Britain after the war. And we did that. We worked in all your areas. When they had COVID, what did they say? We were disproportionately in the front line of all the major essential services. So you're talking about the NHS, you're talking about the transport system. Yeah? How many of your man's aunties are nurses? Are any of your aunties nurses?
Most, if not all of them.
How many of your aunties is nurses? My grandmother was a nurse. Her sister was a nurse. What are you talking about? Welfare queen. What are you talking about? It's lies. But if you let Esau tell the story, we've all just been unemployed, walking up and down the street with a gun in our hand, selling drugs and doing madness. If you let Esau tell the story. Because no Edomites do that. Oh man, it's insane. Then they make movies about the Cray twins and
Yeah. What's the big one they love?
They
Peaky
rate them,
Blinders and
Peaky Blinders and all this stuff. Yeah.
Oh, Cillian Murphy. That's Cillian Murphy. Killing that shit.
But we brought knife crime to England. Yeah, more. Yeah.
The Cratons are legends, bro.
Yeah, no, they didn't do no knife crime. They were gentlemen. When there were bodies floating down the Thames, before Jake even got here, what are you talking about? Jack the Ripper and them, man. What are you talking about? London's always had crime. Every city's always had crime. It's always had an underworld. It's always had a ghetto. Go on.
This is the book of Psalms 50, starting from 20. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thy own mother's sons.
Right, there's a slander because really they go over and aboard what Jake is actually doing. They make it even bigger than it is a problem, but they make it even bigger than what it actually is. There's 11 million people. There's 11 million people in London. Yeah. How many actual murders happen in terms of Jake doing gang violence a year? It's not even 100. There's 11 million people in London. So when you really break it down, the chances of actually being killed by some random is fucking
Especially if you're not one of the ops.
yeah. If you're not, you ain't really got no problems in London. But oh man, you know, if you're white in London, you're gonna be
They be look. This is what we'll tell you. There's some ends that we won't go to.
That
That
them
Edomites
Edomites
are
there.
moving into.
Bro, them Edomites moving. Oh man, didn't want to go where near Hackney when we were growing up.
Exactly.
If you
Exactly.
weren't from Hackney or didn't have a cousin who was on realness
You weren't
there,
safe.
you weren't safe
You weren't
there.
safe.
Then these Edomites just moved in and just walking around.
Yeah, we're opening up
And,
coffee
and,
shops.
and they can just walk around.
And they can.
Yeah, because it's the curses were thine eye shall be
That's
evil
it.
or thy
That's it.
brother.
Well, Edomites are fine. Now, is there muggings and robberies that
course.
happen? Of course. But
Just like
the
everywhere.
chances of you really getting mugged, like the way they're moving, they're acting, is
Yeah.
like you take a step out the door in London, you're gonna get mugged.
Exactly. But but if I can add on what the elder is saying, because I was about to say that as well, is that Esau let certain of these things just happen. The proof was that there was a period of time, I think it was like in Shoreditch, where like there was hella phone muggings. But as you got more and more Edomites
Yeah, they're
moving
gonna
into
clamp
it,
down on it.
all of a sudden,
Clamp down on
the
it.
problem disappeared. Right? But that's because it was no, we need to make this area safe now. We want to raise up the house price. We want to, gentrify this area. But when it's just areas where Jake be at, it's not let it run through.
Esau is a slanderer, man.
Ass.
And the thing is, if you go back into the history, it's always been that way. Esau's never had nothing positive to say about Jake, except when the only time I'd say he had something positive to say is when they wanted Jake to come to England to work. Then it was like, oh, the strong, hard-working, courageous West Indian man. When they wanted man to go fight in the World War, then as soon as the war was over, they went back to throwing bananas and racism.
Yeah, that's what Surah is. That 10 or Surah 12?
That's what I say. These things hast thou done, and I kept silent. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as and one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes.
And that's what the Lord's doing. He's setting us in order through these scriptures, through this understanding, and we're coming back into order. Even though you didn't want us to be in order. You want us to be a destroyed and dilapidated people, and that's why the crack epidemic is a perfect example of that. It's on record that the crack epidemic was facilitated by the CIA. Who went to jail for that? I'm waiting. Oh, niggas went to jail. The war on drugs. Who in the CIA went to jail for facilitating the crack epidemic? Which, when you see, people don't think about what's known as some things are, what's the word? All right. Some things statistically increase madness. So, for instance, in a home, step parents, you're like 30 times more likely to be abused the minute you have a step parent. That's a fact. It's a multiplier. That's the one. Drugs in the home increases the likelihood of being abused, and all these different things. And then it increases all the factors that means your life is going to go left. Yeah. So one thing can build on another.
Compounds.
It compounds. Like, for instance, if a woman has been abused as a child, she's more likely to have children that end up being abused because she will have a failure to protect. That's when they'll end up getting a boyfriend, and the boyfriend will come in and be doing all kind of madness. She will fail to protect those children because she doesn't have the ability to bond with children because she was abused as a child. So it's well known, if you go into social services, that if a woman has been molested as a child, then you have to keep an eye on them when they have children, because they will have a failure to protect.
And these broken women attract broken people.
And so some things multiply each other.
Yeah.
Esau wants to act like that's the case. They know that. So that crack epidemic, you're talking about people that were from all different walks of life, not just low lives. These people were doctors, and then that crack just came in and wiped them out, but they had children. So what effect did that have on their children? That destroyed a whole generation. But guess what? The effect is not going to just be on their children, because the children now have to go out into the world, and they're having an effect on this person and that person. And it's like a virus that's going to grow, and it's going to cause a bigger and bigger problem. And then 3 generations down the line, it all goes back to here. Yeah. But it's wide. Mm-hmm. Like the great grandmother was a crackhead, and all this has happened afterward. This one's in jail. This one's in jail. Like, how many times does this guy go into jail? And it happens all the time. We know the end. Man's dad go to jail, and the son's gonna end up in jail too. It's a cycle, and that crack epidemic started a big cycle of drugs and jail within the so-called black community, which then has wider reaching ramifications.
Yeah.
Which leads to a lot of what we see today in the depths of the ghettos. It goes back to that era, the crack era. Well, Esau's the one that precipitated that.
Even when it came to like the policing of that documentary, the 13th, showed just like how you'd have like Edomites driving into neighborhoods that they shouldn't have been in to buy the drugs and stuff like that, or to get drugs, and then they would never be arrested. It was like when you look at the arrest, I think they said it was basically both being used. You know, I forget how they framed it, but long story short, they were basically saying the Edomites weren't getting arrested.
No, of course they weren't. So then you got the jail time, which destroys you, and then when you got drugs in there like crack, you know, you had parents selling their children for crack and because they're desperate. Well, guess what? All those same things are happening with the meth epidemic now.
Yeah.
Even when you go on the line in YouTube and you look up the crimes, them Edomite places that meth is all in there, nothing but heinous crimes going on. Why? Because they got the meth in there, but they're not attacking the meth as hard as how they were attacking crack.
Well, now they're saying they've what do you call it? It's something that needs to be helped. But when Jake was going through it, they said what? Just say no.
Yeah.
Now it's a health issue. It's a national health issue because Edomites are going through it.
Yeah, which they got their hand in that whole opioid, whole opioid thing with Esau again. Oh no, yeah, so Esau, man.
Was that it on that? Yeah, because there was a point that you made earlier on about you know, when these Edomites called Benjamin over.
Salakia. Another point I want to make: the Jamaican drug gangs crack epidemic that was happening in London actually goes back to Jamaica, because those Jamaican drug gangs were moving the crack to fund Siaga and Manly, and they were fighting over it too. So again, that even goes back to two Edomites. It's all. Hey, man, go on, man.
Yeah. Point of the elders making the point in terms of you know, when the British called Benjamin over, right? It says Sirach 13 and from 4 it says, if thou be for his profit, he will use thee, but if thou have nothing, he will forsake thee. If thou have anything, he will live with thee. Yea, he will make thee bear and will not be sorrowful. If he have need of thee, he will deceive thee, smile upon thee, and put thee in hope. He will speak thee fair and say, what wantest thou? And he will shame thee by his meat until he have drawn thee dry twice or thrice, and at the last he will laugh thee to scorn. After, when he seeth thee, he will forsake thee and shake his head at thee.
Esau's always working against us, man. Always.
Mhm.
Always. He doesn't stop. He's relentless in doing it in that pursuit because he wants to see us destroy the people. He doesn't want to see us strong. He doesn't want to see us united and all these different types of things. No. He doesn't want us to have the truth because all these things are detriments to him.
No. He doesn't want us to be edified. You know, he's because he wasn't set up to edify us. That's what the ministry is for.
He's just a whipping stick. That's what he is. He ain't got the truth.
The ministry, Ephesians the 4th chapter, the ministry is what's supposed to edify our people and elevate us. Esau is not here to elevate us, man.
Because these are the things that made us separate from the different nations. But the Lord said, I can't remember verbatim, that these laws separate us from the different nations, man. All this righteous law that we've been given. Right? These things separates us from these other nations that don't have the law of the Heavenly Father. They don't have His word. But that's one thing that Esau is trying to keep away from us. He ain't trying to let you know. Yeah. So you can build off it, so you can be better. No, he wants to see you destroyed.
And he has all the influence because he controls, because he has the money, the route, the pathway to money is through Esau. So he can always control, and he controls the media. So he even more so than he ever has. So he controls all the influences.
Yep.
He controls all the streamers. It came out, all the big major streamers are all being handled by the same company. He controls all the streamers. He controls all the music artists. Controls all of that. And so he can manipulate Jake and what Jake thinks is cool and what Jake thinks they should be doing and how Jake think through these means, man. And it will always be in a negative manner. It will always be negative. And then he'll turn around and then look and say, oh, well, look at how they're acting. When Tupac and all that was his doing. Gangster rap and all that was his doing.
Psalm 64 verse 2, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrections of the workers of iniquity. Right? Because they always steal on our people, always trying to, to undermine our people. So they're always bringing in something, man, that just keep us in ignorance and destruction, man. Says who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. That represents us, right? So they're always shooting at us, man, with something.
Yeah, there's so many weapons they use against our people on a daily basis, man. Beginning with our children, you know, even down to, like I said, the subliminal nature of the society destroys its self-esteem and psyche. It just does. That's what, and even to this day, it's not changed. That's why bleaching still exists, because it's subliminal. The society pushes a Edomite image of beauty, Edomite image of status on you, and you gravitate to that. Because from children pick up things. They look at things and they pick it up. And even if it's not said, it's shown. And they've done the experiments. Which child is the bad child? And that they pick the black child. Which child is the good child? They pick the white child, the blonde hair. Why? Because the cartoons and everything that they're absorbing is leaving that impression on them.
It's like
Who's the smart kid?
Yeah.
Who's the genius? And if you don't believe you can be smart, you won't be smart. If you don't believe you can be smart, a lot of Jake, right? They go down a path that they identify with, because when you're a child, you seek an identity, and when you find that identity, you cling on to it. Most Jake, they're clinging on to false identities and not role models. They're not clinging on to the right role models. And if they think that, you know what, man, that whole being smart, man, you know what I mean? That's
Waste of time.
no, I'm supposed to be, you know, if to be black is this. Not understanding that to be an Israelite is everything.
Well, isn't Esau created a culture for us, man?
Yeah, culture.
That's why we all want to be rappers and footballers and all these types.
Yeah, but doesn't elevate
You know?
what? Intelligence.
No.
But then you know who does? Nigerians. And that's why they grow up and they want to use their brain.
Yeah.
But the so-called West Indian, man, we fell into the way of entertainment, and they don't believe that you could be smart and use your brain. When we've always had some of the smartest people, but they're not put in the limelight. They're not given them put a pedestal for the kid to realize that, oh yeah, I could be like him. I could be intelligent. No, they might want to be like Cartel.
Right.
And Hussein Bolt, not knowing there's loads of so-called West Indian scholars. I believe the guy that was in England that used to sign off on all the English degrees was from St. Lucia. No one knows him though. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you're not looking at that as an identity. So you think being that is smoking weed and doing foolishness.
I think I don't know if it's still the case, but there was a period of time when the guy that owned basically all the airports in England was a Nigerian.
Yeah. Them Nigerians know that intelligence is a thing that we are. But that's one of the things Esau tries to keep away from us.
Yeah.
The idea that we're intelligent and we should use intelligence. They want to marginalize us down to like physicality or entertainment.
Freestyle in nature.
You know? And then so even if you are smart, you want to still lean, and then you see that. Dudes, instead of just being a nerd, man want to give up on being a nerd to go full on into some bullshit because they think that that's a better identity to have. When you can be both. Why can't you be intelligent and still, you know, you got something that you got that razzmatazz about you? Saka.
Yeah, Saka. You get like
Are you bringing up this last
right, you get like a 7-8.
7-8, yeah. But you never talk about that side of it.
Oh, what's it? Jalen Brown for the Celtics.
Even the guy from Manchester City.
Right.
Like, I mean, calculate that and give them the number.
Yeah, listen, we could be everything. Why can't you be athletic and smart? Of course you can. Do you know what I'm saying? Because we are a naturally intelligent people. But from a child, if someone tells you you're dumb and you think you're dumb, you're gonna go down the path of never using your brain to the proper capacity. There's plenty of Jakes out there that could be a lot more intelligent than they are. They just haven't used their brain because they believe they don't identify with using brain.
Yeah, and it's like when you do see like so-called smart Jakes on TV, they fashion them in a way where it's just like what was this guy, man? Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
Like he's fashioned in a way where like Jake not
gonna identify with the way he's acting. Yeah.
With the way that he is. Whereas like you've got Jakes that have that edge about them that are smart.
Yeah, why not?
You know. But even still, if you want to be a Neil deGrasse Tyson, hey, let's stick to the Jake, man. You know, Jake is everything.
yeah, we can conquer all areas and all arenas, and you should never limit yourself, marginalize yourself, man. But that's all. That's what a lot of
That's it.
what Esau does. He will marginalize. Remember, there was a time when Esau would teach that you can't do this. You wouldn't be able to do that,
Yeah.
and that's stuck in our psyche. Oh, that's too much. That's not the kind of thing that we would do.
It's a white man thing.
Yeah. Oh, no, there's no such thing as what a white man thing is. We are everything because we are the sons of God. What is
A white man was running in the bushes, bro,
That's it.
one time. So you can't say what you can and can't do.
Well, we were mathematicians.
Yeah.
The other tribes and all that, man, they were held into the mathematics, man.
So like, okay, so when that, which is why why this truth is beautiful, man, because when that veil is taken off of you and you stop idolizing Esau, you really see you don't know shit.
Yeah.
You'll be around him and you're listening to him
Who's
speak.
competent?
Yeah, and it's just like, what the fuck is this guy suggesting we do? I remember
Whoa,
you
whoa.
said about you when you went that place you used to work at.
Yeah,
And
they were driving it into the ground.
Yeah, and then they're basically saying like they basically broke the machines out of incompetence.
But check, we got the smartest guys in the world today, all these white men are rolling the earth, right? How coming up with these fucking ideas, while we're struggling with the climate and all this stuff. Oh, we're gonna spray the sun, or no, spray the atmosphere, so we're gonna block out the sunlight. All these crazy ideas. You think that just sounds like a bad idea?
Yeah.
I even think that. I know that it's a bad idea, but you're trying to say it to me like, oh, these intelligent people, though.
Yeah.
You can trust them. I don't trust them for shit.
What did they say as well? Like get rid of all the mosquitoes, and it's immediately like, wait, there's a food chain.
Yeah, ecosystem, bro.
If you take any people,
I don't like him either, but
Exactly.
you know what I mean.
if you look at China, for example, Moab, right? Moab has a whole bunch of intelligent people, right? But it's not. These men were
try
farmers.
hard.
Yeah, but it's not even that. These men were farmers.
Yeah, true.
What changed in China was a system. They put a system into place where the children learn and they value the learning and they study and they do it. You could easily have the same system and we would even do better. But we don't have that system.
Yep.
You can easily have a system, and you know what? Like I said, you go certain places like Nigeria, they got that system. And what do they produce? Academics.
Yeah, we got that hip hop school, bro.
Yeah, that's what they don't get going.
But Luke 3:36, he has found out all the way of knowledge, and has given it. And has given it unto Jacob, his servant, and to Israel, his beloved.
Right. Knowledge is science, if you didn't know. So we are the top, we're supposed to be the top science people, all forms, whether it's gardening or anything, everything is science. Every form of knowledge, we're supposed to be masters in that. The herbs, man, nowadays, Jake don't know shit about herbs really, but the thing is here is that I can go back when I was in Montserrat, bro, man had a herb for everything. If you had a problem, man, go to your granny, and you tell your granny, yo, go on. Shoot, your granny will go out in the bush, pick, come back. If we were intelligent, they knew how to do things.
Yeah.
This is later generations that got exposed to too much TV and all that, and all the syndrome, and then just end up wasting their life, man, and wasting their brain, smoking weed and playing games.
That media, man, is a hell of a tool of witchcraft. Because you're being, that's why, for instance, people from like, what is it, Ghana, for instance, they be hating like places in the Accra now because a lot of that Western Americanism is being exported there.
Yep.
And then it's now almost like, wait, Dad, like, what is this? It's a virus that's being imported.
It is a virus. Slackness.
Yeah.
You need slack people that don't learn, and then they're easier to control and fool and manipulate.
So this is something that's being encouraged in the world right now. But he's sort of doing away with all the jobs, and he's going to put you on some
AI doing everything.
You know what I mean? So don't worry, just sit back. We'll pay you money in this, but that makes you super dependent. Makes you useless.
Your phone will do everything for you.
Yeah, you're useless, man. You can't contribute to nothing in the world, society, or nothing. Everything else is doing the job for you.
Yep.
But that means you become wholly dependent on the system that they're running, which means that's it. You're prey. Yep, that's it. I just want to come back in Psalms 4 and so. It says, who wet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot him and fear not? They don't. Hey, we're the Lord's children, man, and He still don't give a damn. He don't fear the Most High, right? He don't believe
But they're setting you Jakes up, man. You see, they put that big giant statue of that black woman in New York, and that's just gaslighting. The purpose of putting that big statue of the big black woman, it's not only is it no black person asked for that.
Yeah.
Listen. This is what we do know. No black person said, you know what I would really like? Yeah, I would like a statue of a big Shirley. No, that is set up specifically to gaslight the Edomites, so they could be like, look, see, look, this is ridiculous. Just like the George Floyd. Ain't nobody want to know a statue of George Floyd, man. You know, why beat up? No, that was put there to stick it in the face of the Edomites to make them even more angry.
Now, see, think about how many Jakes have or more worthy of a statue than these characters, bro. You know what I mean? They don't get none of that.
Exactly. Bro. How many doctors or whatever? They just put some random.
So like even if New York, that's a so-called Democrat city, right? If they wanted to put a black one, why did they put Kamala? She was almost the president.
Oh man. They would have been hating that even worse, bro.
But surely,
a lot of that stuff, a lot of your stuff you see going on is gaslighting, man. Esau setting our people up, man, to be prey to these Edomites, man. Because the Edomites are getting vexed, and like I said, the more Trump is doing what he's doing, they can't blame Trump. So they're not going to, because Trump's trying to save them. So they're going to blame you. They're going to put you out there as the one that's violent, that's unreasonable. They're going to have Jake doing unreasonable things. Like even this Jake that ran over this random cop, which, if that even what happened. Yeah. And then it's like, wait, hold on. So your son was out flipping carjacking people, and he got shot while he was carjacking, and then you just found the next available police officer and ran him over. So this guy's unhinged. This is unreasonable. Like, this is insane behavior. And then that ends up being the poster child and the poster boy for black resistance. You're like, how? Why don't you go down to a Planned Parenthood and shut that down? For all the things man could be fighting for, now they put this guy up as like the hero. He's a hero? No, this is just the unhinged brer that couldn't teach his son to not carjack people. Why is it always like when it comes to Jake rebelling, some criminal has to be at the forefront of that? Not the prophets. Some criminal, like. Why are we on the side of his side? This is probably carjacking other Jakes. What's going on, man? And people don't see that this stuff is set up. Because now Jake look unreasonable. It looks like these people are just a bunch of criminals and all their heroes are criminals and they're unreasonable. Because man just went and ran over some random cop.
The thing is, though, the comments under them posts, you don't even know if they're real.
Exactly.
That's people do that. Like they'll look.
Or to get the ball rolling.
Yeah,
they'll have the fake comments and then to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Just like the whole situation with the Metcalf thing, with the stabbing in the tent, and men are making a big deal about that. Like, how come there's nothing's going viral with a Jake doing something positive and being a champion for that? There's real incidents where Jake is actually getting done in, and that's never going viral, and no one ain't being a champion for that. But then when it's some criminal like George Floyd, he's so okay, yeah, like let's Jake. Because don't you see they're making it? They're portraying you, Jake, as like you
criminal element.
Nothing but a bunch of criminals, and man, that's robbing and selling drugs. That's your team. That's not my team, because I don't like criminal niggas, man. I want them to be put somewhere where they're far away from me, because I got kids, man. I don't want to be around these niggas that's car. Why do I want to be driving down the road and the nigga jump in my car with his gun out? Fuck that nigga, man. I'm glad he's gone. And fuck his dad too, if that's who he's raising. But you know, it's all predetermined, man.
It's verse 5. They encourage themselves.
And more, you're gonna see more of this. You're gonna see more of them. Jake doing some stupid stuff that don't make no sense, and it's all fake. And then the Edomites are gonna be sitting at home going, when is somebody gonna do something? They can't believe it. They're like, we're being oppressed, like, and these guys are doing madness, and no one.
And at the same time, Trump passes through executive orders and stuff.
Yeah, Trump's destroying their stock market and doing all kind of stuff, making it hard for them to live. So they're getting more angry. And meanwhile, on the TV, they just see black people doing shit and getting away with it. and playing the victim, you know.
Well, as I said, they're planning to militarize the police even more.
Yep.
You know, so they're preparing for this, man. You don't think they're preparing for
Well,
this?
they already created an infrastructure to grab people up and disappear them to other countries and all sorts. And pretended that it was for illegals. But did you know that deportations haven't increased? If you listen to the news, they'll make it look like Trump's just grabbing everyone up off the street. Yeah, he's not. Deportations haven't increased at all because maybe the whole thing is not about deportation. It's just about having that infrastructure in place. Because maybe it's not going to be illegals that they're going to be grabbing up like that. But that's just me.
This is verse 5. So they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them?
Right, all this stuff, the media is going to whip. They're going to continue to whip these Edomites up into a frenzy using the viral, because the whole going viral thing is very easy to create an incident and make it go viral. They're going to start, you're going to see more things of white people getting killed. You're going to see more highlights of, oh, Edomite woman was just walking down the street and then some big Jake just came along and just some gorilla Jake just shot and killed her and raped her or whatever. And it might not even be true. It could just all be like a Hollywood movie set, but it ain't gonna matter at that point. And these Edomites, see, they're gonna go, oh, see, he killed Becky. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, you know
what's proof of that?
When is somebody gonna do something?
Allegedly, what was the guy from Taken?
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson. Remember he said he's a so-called Jake or something like that. Basically got like abused.
And he was walking down the street looking for any black man.
person to attack.
Look, the more you put it out there, and then guess what? When what you're gonna see happening is then once they start doing these things where black people are doing things to these Edomites, they're gonna have it where Edomites are gonna do stuff to them. But guess what? All on the comment board, it's gonna be Edomites going, yeah, man, we gotta fight back, and then what does that mean? Other Edomites are looking at that like, wait, so hold on.
We're okay with that.
You okay with it? You know that? You know what it is? It's like, you remember Homelander?
Yeah.
You remember the scene in Homelander when he just like, and then he was like, oh shit, I just killed that guy. And they were like, yeah, go on, man. And he was like, oh, yeah. That's exactly what they're gonna do. Just like the situation that just happened with that's fake situation that they staged with a woman that said the word, the nigger, that called the dude, and then they had all the money getting piled up, which we don't even know where that money's coming from. Yeah, you don't know how many actual people donated to this woman, but it said that it's Edom.
Yeah.
Think of it. You don't know how it got to 600 grand. Because the Edomites are down bad. So we don't know who's actually giving, because people could support you, but to give money is another thing.
Yeah.
It could be only half of that money actually came from real people and the other half CIA.
Seed money.
Yeah? Seed money, yeah? But anyway, they're defending her because why? She said the word nigger. Then you had the other Edomite woman that went on Piers Morgan and saying that, and then she's getting defended. It was free speech. So what does that do to the average Edomite now? It's like, hold on, wait. I can say it now. Because now it feels like I've got people behind me now.
Safety in numbers.
But if I can say, the thing is, they never stop saying. That's the problem that Jake had. They have this idea in my mind. Jake has this idea that Esau ever stopped saying it. Proves. I remember one guy I used to went to school with. I remember when he went uni and after he hit me up. I was like, oh, I know what these white people, man. They always say nigga. And it was like when Jake ain't around, right? So then thinking like, would you call it? But basically proving that they will always say.
Yeah, they'll say it. Well, they say it in company that they know they can say it.
But we say
we do the same thing. But now it's coming out in the open, and like I said, they're gonna have more events that they're gonna make Esau look like the victim and Jake look like the aggressor, and then they're gonna have Esau being the aggressor. But then now, man are with him. Oh yeah, you got one back. Yeah, good. Yeah. We got to get some points on the scoreboard.
And Trump would defend it.
and Trump would defend it.
You know.
Yeah. Wait, the other day, didn't he basically, I forget which constitution, but he basically, with the whole thing about potentially deporting not just illegals, but citizens, that he was asked, but what about, I forgot what about the constitution? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
The lawyer.
And then, it's true. And then guess what? the right is supposed to be so pro-constitution. They'd be like, hold on, wait. But this is why you got the left-right paradigm. Because the way it goes, if when you're on the right, if the left fuck up the constitution, you fight against it. But then the left will be like, it's okay. Then when your guy gets in and he does it, well, you got to be on your guy's side, right? So then the constitution is eroded more and more as the pendulum swings. Now, another thing that people are not realizing is when they designated cartels and gangs or as terrorist groups, you're only a stone throw away from the Bloods, the Crips, the Gangster Disciples. Well, why are they not terrorist groups? So
That's domestic.
people don't realize you have foreign terrorist groups and you have domestic terrorist groups. Well, if a foreign gang that's doing nothing but selling drugs and committing violence can be determined to be a terrorist organization and dealt with in such a like manner, then what's the difference between the Mexican cartel and the fucking Gangster Disciples? They're literally in the same business, doing the same things, and people are not clocking it. That they're setting up and preparing where there's these laws that they're using against, because they said the guy was MS-13 and he went MS-13, but that you could do that for any nigga. Oh, that nigga wearing red. He got a red hat on.
Yeah.
Well, look, a gang member.
Yeah.
He a gang member.
Yeah.
Oh, he's throwing up gang signs. Because Jake just throw up gang signs anyway. Like, oh, he's throwing up gang signs. Like, this is a gang
It's
member.
a criminal element.
This criminal element. Oh, he wearing a bandana. He's a gang
He's
member.
an associate. Wait, we don't know.
Oh, he listening to 50 Cent. He's a gang member.
Yeah.
He's listening to gang paraphernalia.
Yeah.
Because all their favorite rap
Oh.
artists, they make B gang members too.
Yeah.
Like Snoop Dogg, Lil Wayne. It's all by design.
Because you know what, that's you said something. There's because actually, if you are listening to certain thing or watching certain media by a designated group, that is immediately will then classify you under that.
Yeah, if you watch a bunch of Al Qaeda videos, they're gonna put your thing. How is it that these mainstream rappers can be openly gang members?
Reset.
Well, it's a setup. How can you be openly, oh, I'm a blood, or I'm a crip, and you're a flipping rapper?
They sell drugs and all these
Yeah,
things.
because that was their way of saying, look, all these Jakes are gang members. Look, even their entertainers, they're like they're all, you know, even the women. They got gang tattoos. See, they all got tattoos. They set you Jake up. You're all wearing these damn tattoos.
This is the accuser of our brethren.
Then
So
they'll
they
just
use these things to say, oh, you know.
then they put the MS and the 13 on there. See, look, you know that tattoo, man.
Initials and the number of pages on the you know what I mean?
That's what's good. Ezekiel 21:9, and that's coming. That's coming. Who's gonna fix who? When are we gonna stand up? No.
Revelation 12:12 says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short
So
time."
things are not gonna get better for so-called white America. It's gonna get worse. And the majority of them are not gonna want to accept the truth that the reason it's getting worse is because your boy Trump works for the elites and they want to destroy you. And in the process of things getting worse, or like people believe all this crap about, well, I'm putting in the tariffs because I want to make a deal. America already had a great deal. They had the world reserve currency, which allows them to just export dollars and pay off their debts with money they print. They had all kind of credit. Most Americans don't even understand that in most places in the world, you can't buy something unless you have the cash. You can live off credit in America. You can live above your means, and that allows you to live a higher standard of living than you actually should have. And not just you, we do it too. I live above my means because I'll go under credit and pay off 2 years for a washing machine, which I wouldn't have. I would have to wait 2 years, which means by washing my hands. It's the truth. Now, if you go somewhere in Africa or somewhere, I'm sorry, man, I'm just saying. If you go somewhere in Africa, no, but you go certain places in Africa, man can't just pull out a credit card with like a $10,000 in limit on there and just buy what you want and go on holiday on it and all that. Here, everyone can get access to credit. Man that don't even got no money can get credit. Man are buying, that's why man have iPhones, because they're buying it on credit.
You know, it's the iPhone thing's really interesting because when you look at where Android is more popular and where iPhone is more popular, it's like countries with lots of credit has iPhone
Bro.
wins by far.
It costs £800-900. Who got that in cash? If you go to Nigeria, one guy said when he moved to Nigeria, one thing he realized is if you go into a neighborhood and you see all nice cars, them man have bought those cars. They have to. They buy the car in cash. If you're in the UK, you might walk down the street here and you're just seeing all these nice cars, but most of them are salary sacrifice electric vehicles, or man have bought it on finance.
In fact, over here, kind of doesn't make sense to buy it outright.
You know, so America already had a great deal. The problem with America was the system was designed that all that wealth that America was generating was being put right to the top 1%, and the rest weren't getting the piece of the pie as big as they should be getting. It wasn't China that was taking America's wealth. And now Trump is trying to convince everyone
rich.
that they need a better deal. You already had a good deal. Look, everything they're doing right now is not about getting a better deal for the American people so that the American man can have a better standard. No. What it's all about is reconstructing the global economy and global trade and demolishing the way it works now. And in order to do that, that means you Americans are going to go further down the pecking order. All of the life that you've been enjoying, they're about to get rid of it. So everything's going to get more expensive. You're going to get paid less, and you're going to get less access to credit. We're going to bring you right back down. And that's what Trump is doing. That's why the UK deal ain't going to help no American that's struggling to pay his mortgage. If they make a deal with China, it's not going to help you. Oh, the tariff is gonna no, the tariffs is something that you pay. It increases the price of your goods. And then he's increasing the budget anyway. So even if they're making savings or they're receiving more tax revenue from the tariffs, he just dropped another fucking 300 billion alone on the defense budget. So that means that all that money he's so-called making from the tariffs literally just went to the defense companies anyway. So how's he going to reduce your taxes? It's a lie. All Trump is going to do is going to bring more pain, but because they believe in him, they're going to believe it's not him. And he's trying because they don't understand the economy. Or he's trying to make deals. He's making deals. He's trying to, you know, and then it's like, but they'll have all this stuff happening on the sideline to divert their anger somewhere else. The reason America's not being made great again is these people here. It's not Trump, because Trump's trying to make it great again. He told you. No, man. It's a great deal. We're looking for a deal. America had the greatest deal any country's ever had.
That's why
in the history of
on
countries.
top the whole time.
They were able to print money for the world. If that's not a great deal, I don't know what. That's why they were able to buy everyone's shit for cheap.
The petrodollar.
So you could live and have $30. And then he told them, well, you're just going to have to buy $2 instead of 30. And you don't get what that means? He's saying you're going to live on less. He's telling you that you are going to make America great again, you're going to have less.
Which is in line with the WF.
Which is in line with what they want anyway.
He's working for them.
Your standard of living is going to drop down. All that excess that you have and all the luxuries you have are going to go down. And Edomites ain't going to like this. All the Edomites that had small businesses, they're shutting down because of these tariffs.
But once again, to prove that it is all part of the system, is the small business open.
Well, there's one American car. Yeah, go on.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I said the proof that it's all part of a system is that the small business owners are being hurt here too.
They're being hurt everywhere. Starting with COVID, starting with COVID, even until now, the big corporations they can take all the impact of all the problems.
They can shed off loads.
Or they can get a massive loan to cover them. They can get a massive loan to cover them.
Free money, from the government.
And plus, you get certain institutes. Say Sainsbury's says we're running out of money, the government will bail them out.
And then the woman tried to attack Trump on it, talking about the small business. He said, "Why are you worried about that for? It's about the big." I'm like, bro, see, but you got to understand that the small businesses is what shares the wealth. That's the difference. The middle class are people that have small businesses, and if you're getting rid of the small businesses, You're getting rid of the middle class. Period. The guy that's a millionaire is really middle class. He's got a net worth of 2 to 3 million. That's not a rich person. That's a middle class person.
I end.
Yeah, that's not that's not Elon Musk.
That's where the wealth is at. Yeah.
That's not where the wealth is at. So they're trying to get at them people and bring them down.
Sure.
Deals. What you gonna do? You want to go work in a factory for cheap? How's that gonna improve your standard of living?
Yeah, what did Chappelle say? I want to buy Nikes. I don't want to make them.
Yeah, these people. They're telling you China's been stealing. The truth of the matter is, the majority of people in China that were making these items couldn't buy the items that they were making. You could buy them for cheap because you had that mighty dollar, which he's telling you that he wants to weaken the dollar.
Yeah. But this is it. That's why they enjoy going to these countries. Let's be real. Like, for instance, the cost of living in China is cheap. You know, you can go and get food, high quality food, not none of that plastic stuff you have in America. High quality food for cheap. You can travel for cheap. Use the public transport that they've actually built. You know, ain't degraded like it is in America and stuff like that. It's safe, this, that, and the other, and you'll enjoy your time because you're bringing USD.
Yep.
Go to why? What's one of the best holiday destinations? Goes like Bali. That was a big thing a few years ago. Why? Because that Western money goes far.
Yeah, but they're robbing everyone. This guy's an idiot. And then on top of that, you have to realize as well, the way the Chinese design their economy is they made sure that the government takes care of all the essential services so that they're subsidized so the people have access to the basic services, something they don't do in America. So for instance, in China, even though they don't make as much money as America, they make sure that even though you're a poor peasant, you can get access to healthcare, you can get access to transport because the government will subsidize that. Guess what they do in America? No, they're not subsidizing any of that. So all of you men are paying out the arse for everything. They took all the money that they were making and all the money they were printing and gave it to themselves in wars. They spent all the money on wars, trillions. If they didn't spend all them trillions on wars, you could have high quality education for cheaper, high quality healthcare for cheaper, high quality everything for cheaper, and every American would be living like a fucking king. But they don't want to do that.
A pregnancy can bankrupt you.
It's them. They messed up America. It's not China. Not China's fault. Man's in a sweatshop. Man's telling me that they were stealing money. Most of the money from an iPhone isn't in China. They mark it up in America. So Apple was making the money. Trump ain't trying to tell you that. He blaming the Chinese. Oh, it's Chinese, so I'm going to get a better deal. I'm going to bring the manufacturing back. How? It won't be able to. You won't be able to afford it if it was built in America. No. So basically what they're saying is you ain't going to have it.
Price is going to go up.
You're going to have to get some cheaper version that they give out on government phone. Oh, man.
Isaiah 19.
Why, yeah. You're going to have to get that Obama phone, man.
Isaiah 19. Which reads, the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord lighteth upon a swift crowd, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians.
Which you already have that. The only way that they're able to fool the American public the way they do is through the left-right paradigm. They got the left fighting against the right and the right fighting against the left. And that's why they're all messed up. And they don't understand the true enemy has always been your own politicians, your own elites, your own super elites, the super rich have always been working against you. And then they let Trump come up in there to tell you that, well, even though I'm one of these elites, and even though they're all my friends, I'm actually on your side now, and these guys have been working against you, but I'm going to save you because I'm, and then no, he's not. No, it's not. The system is always going to be there to work for the system.
Once again, slut. Let me just go show you how much of a sap it is. The same here, we've got Nigel Farage, who's the man of the people.
A banker.
Millionaire.
The banker.
Yeah, same with Starmer, same with man on conservative. They're all rich people, right? You know what I mean?
Well,
He's not a league with the regular people.
What's his the old guy, man, the Indian dude? Well, his wife ain't his wife family billionaire.
Money. money.
Listen, this is the game. The reality is that the American people are fighting each other, but the people who actually represent them are all friends, sucking and fucking each other behind the scenes. You really think this is how retarded Americans are? They really think that Hillary Clinton, the Clintons, and Trump are enemies. And then he'll get up in the stage and go, Hillary are gonna be arrested. What date is it? Because I don't. Has she been arrested yet?
9 years later. Yeah. With all that executive power.
Yeah, but
And that's an elite
they
family.
tried to
you know
put
what I
him
mean?
in jail. No, they didn't. That was just the thing. They was never meant to go to jail. He was meant to make it look like they wanted to put him in jail. If they wanted to put him in jail, be in jail.
Yeah.
If they wanted him dead, he'd be dead. These people are so retarded. So you really think here that the elites
Infinite.
are so incompetent here that they can't kill a 9-year-old man or something? How old is Trump? They got heart attack weapons. They have weapons, right, that can give you a heart attack. If they really wanted this guy gone, he would be gone. They wouldn't use some retarded youth on the top of a roof, yeah, to try and shoot at him so he could have a photo. They would use a fucking sharpshooter. There would be a secondary shooter that would actually get the shot, and he would just be the patsy.
Like an actual mercenary.
Yeah. And then even on top of that, like I said, why would they want to make it a public killing anyway? They would just give him a heart attack
Yeah.
or a plane crash.
Yeah.
They're not hard. You better make it look like he's beefing with Pookie down the road. If he was really beefing with the real elites here, the man would be dead.
Yeah. I've always,
But America's such a theater and such a farce. And then so these people actually fighting each other in the street, Republican, and when really the Republicans and the Democrats, it's all a show. They're not enemies. They're all part of secret societies and sucking each other off behind closed doors. Biden and Trump probably had sex bare times. You know what I'm saying? Bare times. Like, they're just having a good time swapping each other's wives and that. And you lot are here fighting each other over left and right. Morons. Meanwhile, both of you are on your way down, left and right.
It just says James 2:6, but you have to despise the poor. Do not rich men oppress you.
Yeah.
You're not here to be your well-being.
Or Elon Musk, yeah, he Elon is for the people. What? Elon made all of his money from welfare. He is literally one of the biggest welfare recipients ever in the history of the planet Earth. Like, and his company is not even worth what it's meant to be worth. It's overvalued because it's a new world order company.
yeah, but when you I remember looking at this years ago when like the Tesla stock price was crazy, and you look at how much they were worth and how many cars they had, and then you contrast that to Volkswagen Group,
Yeah,
which
mad.
makes a mad amount of cars, and then how little they were
And-
worth.
and
It was like, wait, how does
Made
this
and
make
sold a man amount of
sense?
cars.
Yes. Yeah.
But Teslas, you know, they don't sell that many Teslas compared to these other car companies.
Yeah.
But somehow they got mad money way above
And he
them.
just became the richest man in the world. Like, and
Yeah.
then the richest man in the world's on your side.
Yeah.
These people are retarded. You have to be retarded. There's no other explanation for it. No, Bill Gates, he's the evil billionaire. So you got the guys on the left, yeah, they'll be like, Elon Musk, he's the evil billionaire, and Bill Gates, he's the good billionaire. And then the guys on the other side will be like, no, Bill Gates is the evil billionaire. And these people are like, bro, these men are so stupid. No, they're all evil. They're all on the same team. And they all get richer, and you get poorer, regardless of what happens.
Yep.
It's a game.
So Isaiah 60 speaks about gross darkness to people.
Bro, these people are retarded, and American politics is the worst. It's the most fear-driven, even more than the UK. Your election campaign is WWE. You're rolling out all kind of celebrities and having a concert. It's a joke. It's politics for children. Trump talks like he's talking to children. The way he talks is like he's talking to uneducated children, and they're like, yeah, and it's like, bro, this guy does not act like a real businessman. He doesn't act like he acts like a reality TV personality.
Which is what he's based on.
Man said, I got an earth-shattering announcement, and it just some basic deal with the UK. Earth-shattering. Now, who are you talking? Who are you talking to, bro? That's how you talk to a child, you know, you got pasta. Ooh, it's gonna be a what the fuck, man? Talk to me like I'm an adult. What do you mean earth-shattering? And then it just ended up being some basic deal with the UK. Earth-shattering deal.
They gotta buy our beef. You know, we got all kinds of beef.
And then it's like, yeah, Trump, he goes. It's like, bro, you're a fucking child, man. He's talking to you like you're a child. Be a fucking adult. Don't let people talk to you like that. How was it earth shattering? The man's going to like he made a deal with fucking the Martians or something. Like, what was earth shattering about it? It was some basic deal.
Tremendous is his favorite word. Tremendous.
You're just
Tremendous.
playing with words and sensationalizing shit. Like your children. Adults shouldn't. Anytime someone's talking to you in such sensational terms, it means they're manipulating you. It's a car salesman type shit. This is a supercar. Nah, blood, it's a Nissan. What we doing here? Like, stop, don't talk to me like I'm an idiot. No, it's a supercalifragilisticexpialidocious car. It's a tremendous car. Like, bro, don't talk to me like I'm a dickhead.
Whatever you want.
It's just a car. Like, can we talk about what's going on? If someone was doing that to you, you'd be patronized. What the hell is this guy talking about? You're an adult? America's fucked, man. 100%. Yeah, that's all it is. It's sensationalism, and he'll say things on purpose that will upset the other side. Like he'll constantly mention Biden for no reason. Yeah, no one could have done it. No one could have done it. Only me. Only me. I'm the only one they would have made this deal with. Bro, man, they've been making deals for like hundreds of years. Like, what was special about what you did? You didn't even make the deal. You're not the negotiator. You have a team. But Biden, why are you talking about Biden for? He's gone.
Yeah.
Because you need to talk about Biden to keep that us versus them, me versus him bullshit going. Without that, people would just see through it. Like, this is bullshit. Go on now.
And I will
It's
say,
gonna be the best ever. You're gonna be so rich, bro. It reminds me of America with Montserrat. There was a political party and their slogan was "Plenty, Love, and Money," and I'll never forget it. And I'm like, yeah, that's so simplistic, man. But Jake voted though, because like, who ain't gonna vote for plenty, love, and money? I'm like, what the fuck is this shit?
We gotta be in reality, bro.
You treating man like a real idiot. Plenty, love, and money. Oh yeah. I want some of that. Man said, when we get these deals done, you're gonna have so much money, you won't know what to do with it.
We're gonna find that. We're gonna find that because they don't. That's the trajectory.
Bro, if someone said that to you, you'd be like, this is some. What did you just say? He didn't just say you'd be better off or your standard of living is gonna. He said you're gonna have so much money that you won't know what to do with it.
Bro.
Really? So
Maybe-
man's
maybe-
done living
bro.
under a bridge.
Bro,
Like,
maybe it's just us though. Maybe we're being pessimistic.
Maybe
it's
we
just,
just
just across the board, all Americans gonna have so much money. You're like, in what world how does that even?
That's really like Scrooge McDuck.
Everyone's just you're a billionaire. You're a billionaire. You're like, what are we doing here? Who was you talking to when you? And they're like, yeah, you heard what he said. We're gonna have so much money, we're not gonna know what to do with it. My goodness, man. My goodness, bro. I heard that. I'm like,
It's good to say the simple believer every word.
simple. But these are the high IQ individuals. No one that talks like that is righteous. All right, that's a snake oil salesman. You're gonna be so healthy, you'll live forever. You know what I mean? That's the thing. You drink this, you'll never die. What the fuck is going on here, man? Anyway, go on, man. That is insane. America's an insane place. But we used to have Boris Johnson, so
Isaiah 19:2.
same character. Yeah.
And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, seat against seat.
And that's another thing they're doing. They're low-key maneuvering Americans to make them certain type of people live in certain states. Right? So that's why they want certain states to have certain that's why they did the whole thing with the abortion thing. So it's like certain states can have it be illegal, some states have it be illegal. What that does is it ideologically, if you're with one thing, you'll move to this state, and if you're so it's putting people in little pigeonholes, right? And then another thing they're doing is with the Section 8. People not thinking smart. So what they've done is, right, the Section 8 is federal. They're saying they don't want it to be federal no more. They're going to reduce the federal budget. So now the budget is going to have to be picked up by the states. So then all you need to do now, let's say you want a whole bunch of people to like
poor people to move from here and move here. Well, all you do is make sure that this state doesn't replace the funding as much, but this state does. So what happens? If you can't get the funding you need here, you're gonna move here. So what you're doing is you're migrating. You're pigeonholing people. But you see, the average person doesn't think like that. They don't think that the things that's happening are happening for a bigger reason. They're moving you around. You can't get it here. Well, we know you need it. You'll go here. And they control all the states and which state will do what. Because they control all these puppets. So they can divide you between red and left. They can concentrate more poor people in this particular area and have the rich people more in this particular area. They do that with the taxes. Make sure this state has less taxes here and that state has more taxes here. You think that's not done by design? You think it's all by accident? No, it's not. They know exactly what they're doing. And then they have it be like, oh, he's getting rid of Section 8. So we know he's getting rid of Section 8 so that certain places can have it, certain places don't have it, and then you have to move. And then when you move out, they can do something with here while you're over there now. It's just another way of the gentrification and the movement of people.
Also helps. So it's basically what they call it corralling. Like for instance, when you put everyone into like a little like a thing, so you can control it easier.
Yeah.
Like you do like with sheep.
That's exactly what they're doing, but they're using an economic means to do that. They're using an economic tool to shepherd people. But most people can't see it because, again, the media is not going to explain that to you. They're just going to focus on, Trump is trying to do this, and then they get caught up in all the fighting instead of looking at what is the actual end result of what they're doing and why are they doing it. That's the way I think. I don't think about the theater, the fighting backward and forward. I think about what is the purpose of this? What's the ulterior motive? If I was a planner, a social engineer, what would be the result of something like this? Because I read the small print. The small print is the states now have to pick it up. Some states might bankrupt themselves doing that. You see what I'm saying? That's why the Bible tells you that the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. You gotta be as wise as serpents and harmless as doves, man. You gotta know that there's a lot of shit they do.
That's why if I say something, Hosea 4 and 6, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Yep.
But I think about that in like cases like this because Esau, you need to know Esau's the devil. You don't know Esau's the devil.
Yeah, you ain't gonna see it.
You ain't gonna see it. So then when we're saying that actually no, he's doing it for your hurt,
sideways, man.
like exactly. You're not looking at it sideways. You're not looking at it like there's an ulterior negative motive in this particular instance. You're just looking at it as like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna have to move to this state.
Yep. That's exactly what they wanted. That was the purpose of it in the first place. That's absolutely the purpose of it. And they're going to do more things like that, where it's going to be favorable for you to leave and go over there. But that's where they want you and your kind. They put you all in that little spot right there.
And just carpet.
Just a quick one before you carry on. That 2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 11 says, "Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices."
His plans, his craftiness. Esau. When you take everything at face value, you'll never know what the overall plan is. Especially if you listen to the politicians and their bullshit. Then you'll never know. Man put 145% tariff and everyone's talking about art of the deal like a parrot. He didn't even write that book. He didn't write that book. The art of the deal wasn't written by Donald Trump. It was written by a so-called Jew. They just put his name on it. Because surprise, surprise, he's a fucking TV personality, man. He's not a great businessman at all. That was on TV. He literally had a TV program. You know how many businesses this man had that failed? He went bankrupt so many times, the Rothschild bailed him out. He's just a puppet. Oh, the deal. Bro, that's not how you do things in the world. You don't crash something to a halt to get a good deal. That's retarded. But you know what he's done? He's accelerated the de-dollarization, the breakup of production, which is what they want. If you go to the Agenda 21, it talks about sustainable production, as in, why have 30 dogs when you can have one? Well, reduce the production,
Efficiency.
reduce the efficiency. Well, to do that, most of these factories have to shut down anyway. Most of this, and that's what COVID did too. It reduced the amount of products that were available. Where instead of having the choice of 5 different products, now you're going to have the choice of 1 product. And it might not be available on the Tuesday. It might only be available on the Wednesday. And you can't buy 20 of them. You can only buy 1. And they'll either do that by unction or by the price. This is what you see happening.
Products you can't buy a certain amount of.
Yeah. When you try to do the home delivery,
Yeah, they'll put
limit.
And you know what?
They'll
It's stupid, right? Because like I buy a box of protein bars, right? And then you come 12 in a packet.
trying to get small.
But I can only, but I can only buy 10. And so they come to deliver it now. It's the box. They give me it in the box, but it's a twat. So what's the point?
What?
You might just give me the box of 12 like I wanted in the first place.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
Yeah,
But they could be stringent now on these parameters that you can only possess this amount.
and then what they've done is they've elongated the tariffs to a certain amount of time because they know how long it's going to take to disrupt all these supply chains. Because they're doing it on, well, no, he's doing it to get the deal, the art of the deal. And they just keep parroting the art of the deal. Like, yeah, we know he had a book called Art of the Deal. That doesn't mean what he's doing is about getting a deal. What he's doing is about disrupting the global supply chain because they want a new system and make it where you accept the fact that what's going to happen is you're going to have less products. You're going to be paying more for less. Gone are the days where you're going to buy 50 shirts because the shirt costs $2. Now you buy 2 shirts.
Yeah, instead with the WF, man. It's all the
Agenda
same.
20,
It's all the
Agenda
same work.
21.
It's all the same thing.
And he said it. He said instead of buying $30, maybe you only need 2.
Because you're over consuming.
But I
right?
thought it's freedom. I thought if I want $30, I should be able to have.
It's only red shirts.
All these women, like, because of China and these places, they're able to basically, all these companies are able to just push this super consumerism where people are going to Primark and buying a shirt for £2-3 or £4. So they got just bare shit, and then it just ends up in the landfill. So now they're gonna just,
because there's a problem. But
now they're gonna make it where
they got the
everything's
reason to do
toned down.
They
Yeah,
got the reason to do it.
It's all multifaceted, all coming
Problematic
together.
solution.
Because the fashion industry is hella polluted. It's like hella polluted,
Pretty
hella
much so.
wasteful, and stuff like that. So then they can come at it from both angles. Like actually, no, you don't need 30. To be fair, actually,
they say factories in China is closing down. That's the purpose. They want to wind down all this production.
Yeah.
The shelves are gonna have what you need to have, so you ain't gonna get 5 different type of baked beans. Maybe why do you need to eat all that baked beans? Maybe you only need to have. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's the same thing with all the
Get them calories down. They're fat anyway.
all the plant-based foods now. You don't need to be having all these ranches and all these cows now. You plant-based this and that.
Yeah.
You know, it's winding down. It's a system that it's no longer intensive anymore. You know.
But guess what? The rich, they're always gonna have their supply lines.
Yeah.
It's you that suffer.
Yeah. Man.
Oh, didn't Zuckerberg like he planted like a little forest and macadamia nuts to feed his cow?
Yeah. And then another thing, remember, when you got a crunch on supply chains, right? The big suppliers will supply whoever is paying the most first. And this is why they put you in certain areas. So let's just say like you need, what's a product that everybody needs, even if you're rich?
Dairy.
Nah, something more.
That's the best.
Let's say you milk,
Yeah.
or something like that, right? It's not really, but let's just say milk, any product, right? And that product is costing $10, but there's a supply squeeze. But you need to supply this area, that area, that area, that area. Whichever area gives you the most money for your product is where it's going to go. You're not going to say, well, I need to make sure that 10 go equally, it goes everywhere. No. So then who's going to afford it? Well, if you got the super rich, for them to pay $20 for that product doesn't even affect them because they got so much disposable income that even if their cost of food went up 10 times, it wouldn't affect them. And that's what people don't realize. When you're talking, you're getting to the guys like Richie Sunak, yeah? These dudes just off interest and all that stuff, their disposable income in a month is going into like the hundreds of grands. How much money can you spend on food? That's why they're constantly buying and investing in things. Whereas your disposable income is like $100, $200. So if it costs you an extra $200 a month to pay for food, that's no money left.
Yeah.
If it costs them an extra $200 to pay for food, they don't even notice it.
Well, but it's like because these are the same people that will spend 10 grand on a night, and it won't be in any particular special event.
They
Just
won't
be,
notice it. So this is why when you're increasing the prices of essential goods, which is what's going to happen, it disproportionately affects the people who have the lower incomes and the less disposable income. It doesn't affect the super rich as much. And that's what you're going to see happening, man. More and more.
And that's the same thing you mentioned it before. I think World War I, right? Before all the rationing system came into play, those who could only get the items were the rich. Because things got expensive, right?
Yeah.
And then the government had to step in to kind of normalize,
Which eventually is what they're going to do. They're going to have a rationing system in order to help normal people get the things that they need. Because things are going to get too expensive. And more of your money is going to be spent on food. And the basic things. And there's going to be less money for luxury items that you men are buying.
lots of people gonna have to start selling stuff.
Gonna be on Gumtree.
Yeah, but then it goes into what you were saying a couple of weeks back about the price of your home, because you're gonna have people that I'm sure there's a lot of people right now who can't afford their mortgages if the interest rates went up.
But they can't sell it.
But they can't sell it. But then there'll be a time when it's like, well, the only thing that they can try to do is to try and sell the yard, but at a loss. But then guess what? There are going to be so many other people in the same position where you can have lots of people trying to sell their house at the same time. So,
but you know who could buy
my
it?
house is $1.5 million. Now it's just 200,000.
And then the government they'll be like, okay, the bank will buy it up, but you can still live in it.
Yeah.
And pay rent. Yeah. We know what's coming down the pipeline. Can we get second to 16? But these people can't see it because they've been sold. Listen, if Esau's telling you a golden age is coming, if he's telling you that you're gonna have more money than you ever had in your life, you will never be able to spend it. If he's telling you it's Liberation Day, then you should already know the opposite of what he's telling you is what's actually going to happen.
Yeah.
And like I said, the results of these tariffs have not really kicked in yet.
Yeah, because a lot of companies buying buffer. The proof of that, any brother that's in the UK can see. So you know how all of the bottle caps have the hook thing now?
Yeah.
Did you notice how it took a long time for all of the bottles
to
start having the hook? But
when
that's
did they start making them?
No, but even still, like let's say it was a brand that you had that you was used. Let's say you always bought Evian, right? It took a while for all of the Evian bottles to have the cap that was older. That's because a lot of it was backstock that was already made.
Yeah.
So imagine like that would have been made at a certain price and stuff like that. So you were still like buying the old stock.
Yeah.
Same with these tariffs. People are looking, well, the shelves are still full, but that's the backstock. Yeah. You haven't seen what's about to come.
It's coming short.
So I start kicking it. And then the one guy was breaking it down how you're thinking the tariff only works once, but it doesn't. Because he was saying, like, for instance, in NVIDIA, they'll like they'll import the product, there's a tariff on it. Then they send it back over.
Right.
So then there's a tariff on the end, and then it comes back again. Right. So you could there's a product can end up having where tariffs have been placed on it 4 or 5 times before it even gets to the end of sale. That's crazy because the way the world works is something could be raw materials could be brought in here, then that thing could be sent somewhere else to add another thing to it because it's cheaper to do that, and then brought back here. And that's how you're able to buy that product for the price where you can afford to buy it. So these tariffs actually multiply on themselves. It's not just once. It's at all stages of the supply. It can happen because things go backward and forth. Bro, it's peak out.
Grab this real quick. It's Ecclesiastes 12:3. It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. And those that look out the windows be darkened.
Yeah, those that look out, it's going to be a bad forecast. Yeah, and don't think that the stock market can't crash because they don't care if the stock market crashes because they'll still keep theirs. They'll still keep the ownership. But you know who will be selling panically? There'll be all the retailers. Retail will lose, but they'll just keep ownership because ownership is theirs anyway. or the government will come in and pay up for the ownership or whatever, and they'll have what they got to do. But don't think they won't fuck up the pensions.
Almost
Don't,
Almost happened.
don't think they won't fuck up them pensions, and then you're really gonna be desperate because you're gonna have a whole bunch of people now that who they're gonna be relying on now. If the pension just evaporated, well, you got a whole bunch of people now that really they need that chip because they need them some universal basic income now because they ain't got a pension no more. That 401k gone, brother. Well, what's Trump telling you to do right now? He keeps telling you to buy more, but the volume ain't high. So guess what? I guarantee you that the insiders are not really buying. They're letting the retail buy. So retail think, yeah, that they think the stock market will always go up, but it might not necessarily. But they really need to implode the stock market at some point, so then pensions can disappear because they don't want to have no pensions in the new world order.
Which is why even when you look at the bloody like all of the trying to be like tax efficient, one of the things they tell you to do is pay into a pension. You want to be tax efficient, and I'm just there like, why would the government be also paying into the same pot that they're helping you? But it's not, because it's not going to exist.
Nah,
You're literally giving it to them for them to gamble with.
Yep, and then that'll be it. Murder she wrote.
So
Well, you know who they're gonna blame for all that though?
and the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low.
Right, because what's happening is you're gonna go more and more into an economy that's bare bones. And the big corporations can still operate because they need to operate and they can, but the small businesses and all that, there's just gonna be less jobs for people. And the layoffs are already beginning. And they came up with some bullshit job numbers talking about how jobs went up 177,000, which those particular numbers always get revised down later on down the line anyway. And not all jobs are created equal. Because if you're in an economy, if a man's losing a 100k job and ends up getting a 20k job or a 0-hour contract job, that still counts as a job. But he's now underemployed. Because there's a lot of people in America that are underemployed. That's why they have to have 3 jobs. And I don't understood that. In the UK, we down bad, but ain't nobody working 3 jobs. What the fuck's going on here? Man work 1 job, like at the most, certain man have a little second security thing on the weekend. But in America, man have got 3 jobs, like 3-4 jobs.
Still living it.
What's going on? Like, why you gotta have 3 jobs? Can't you get 1 job that just pays you like half decent? That's insane to me. But that's America for you. The layoffs are gonna start happening.
The AI is going to multiply that.
And like I said, and all the new factories that they're going to be building, you think they're building the factory so that it's labor intensive? No, they're going to be building new factories, going to be machines.
Even the Tesla factories are highly automated.
And then who's going to operate the factory? Not you dumb Americans, because you ain't got no fucking you lose. Okay, skills. If you're working in Macy's, right, and you lose your job in Macy's, right, how does that make you now qualified to then go and flipping operate machinery, code in a damn flipping factory with high-tech equipment? No, it doesn't. I'm sorry to break it to you, but the problem has always been what they call re-education. It's like when you shut down the mines. When they shut down the mines,
Still not still not recovered.
how of them man were like, well, what do I do? They were like, oh, you could reskill. Bro, man's 50. What the hell is he gonna learn now at 50?
Yeah.
You just spent the last 30 years and all you know is the intricacies of mining.
Yeah.
When I was at the dairy, they were shutting down the dairy. They're starting to replace robots in the dairy. If you got paid 40 grand a year to push milk around, where do you go from there? Oh no, they got coding jobs available. But how the fuck are you gonna become a coder when you've been pushing milk for the last 20 years? And now all of a sudden you're gonna learn how to code. And then remember to the fact here that you got to pay for that course.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes they do little reskilling thing, but usually they reskill you to something that people are already doing.
Yeah.
So now you're going to drive the wages down in that industry anyway.
Yeah.
When Doge fired all those public servants from the federal government, they went right into the private sector and dropped all your wages. People are not thinking about what's going on.
That happened when the big tech witnessed it. Big tech, when big tech fired all them people, bro, all of that, like Google, Amazon. I mean, they went all into the market, and then now it's like, wait, that's oversaturated. That's oversaturated, and then it's, the average man's like, look, I can't compete.
Yeah,
with
you're gonna have a guy who used to be for this big company. Now he's applying for your unskilled job because the skill that he has, there's no jobs for it because they just fired a whole bunch of people. So now you're all trying to get security jobs. You're all trying to get little customer service jobs, but they're getting fired.
Yeah.
But then now they can make sure that they don't give you a living wage because there's so many people applying. That's why in London, as soon as a job comes up for transport, Fred, about 500,000 people, and they all got degrees and all shit.
Yeah.
They're architects and shit, and they're applying for a damn flipping revenue job and shit.
Yeah.
Don't people see what's happening?
What do you call it? It's like there was a few times I remember speaking to like coffee shop workers, and these look, they had master's degrees.
Yeah, it's like that. A lot of people that's working low level jobs, they got skills, but their skills are not required anymore. So how much more say Trump is telling you I'm gonna bring back the manufacturing. Okay, they build a manufacturing, they need an engineer. You're not an engineer, brother.
Yeah.
You know where the engineer is gonna come from? China. The guy that already has that skill, he's gonna move to America on a H1B1 visa and do the job. Because he already knows how to operate those machinery, because he wasn't sitting around on his backside watching TikTok and doing madness. But you got these guys saying, yeah, Trump's gonna bring back, bro, can you do a job in that factory, bro? When you apply for that job, what is your qualifications to work with this high-tech machinery? No. So you know what they're gonna have to do? What did Elon do? He brought in a bunch of when he was doing Twitter, he brought in a bunch of Indian coders. What are they doing in the UK right now?
Oh yeah.
So meanwhile, you got these youths running up and down the street of London. They don't want to learn nothing. They just want to be cool on TikTok. They're not learning how to do any of the high-tech jobs. You know who is learning how to do the high-tech jobs? The man in India.
Yeah. And once again, for them, earning, let's say, well, it depends where you work, but let's say the average in London for a tech job, this is a random number, say 50, right? 30K in India is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So guess what? That's just done. That's brought that all the way down. Brought that all the way down.
And then they're going to be sending a lot of that money back to India too. So it's not even going to be staying here. And this is what they want. And people are not thinking. All they hear is he's going to bring the manufacturing back. And the same person celebrating doesn't understand that, well, but you ain't going to get a job in that factory, brother, because you're not qualified. Do you even know how to use these machineries? What do you know? You just got laid off from Macy's. You just got
like 300. What is your profession?
What is your profession? What is the skill that allows you to operate a high-tech piece of equipment? What is your skill? No, you don't have a skill. You're just fat. But Trump's gonna bring back the jobs. You moron, man.
Once again, the north of England still hasn't recovered from the mines closure, man. You know, that was what? That was the 80s or something like that.
If you're going to, when a country is deciding to have a manufacturing base, it begins with education. You have to have the human capital necessary to back that up. When China was doing what they're doing, why do you think they had the kids in classrooms beating them and telling them, learn, 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 learn? We need these people, so you need to go to school and learn that. In the UK, they don't tell you to learn something. You just go in school and man turn up and you know whatever, and no, you could be whatever you want to be. In China's like, no, we need doctors, we need this, we need that. So this is what you're gonna do.
I remember being told a story. One woman that I know of, she grew up in like around about the time when China was being built up, and she was basically saying, look, if someone got into a particular university, the whole village celebrated. Everyone celebrated.
And it was for something.
Yeah.
They weren't just going to university for some random shit. It was because it was a planned economy.
Yeah.
They knew they needed it. Now America needs coders. Are they going into the schools and telling them you need to learn coding? So who's going to be doing these jobs? The Indians, the Chinese. They're going to be coming in. So the immigration is coming. And then you know what? The H1B1 visa, Elon said that, yeah, we need that.
Yeah.
And then a few of the MAGA people like, well, I thought you were meant to be against immigration. Because the plan isn't for you dumb MAGA. If they do bring any jobs back to America, it's not for you. They're going to immigrate the East to the West. And you're still going to be there suffering as a second-class citizen. It's true, man. Look it up. What's it? H1B1? I'll look it up. But yeah, keep reading.
Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5 says, yea, also because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and hateth unto him all people. Right? Esau, he opportunist, man. He just wants everybody under his umbrella of influence. You know, he won't, get resources wherever he needs from. And if these Indian man have got the skills and they can work for cheaper, that's where he's gonna go. It's always been this way, capitalism, right?
Well, but that's
You
why
know?
that's why the service center jobs, call center jobs moved over there in the first place. Because once again, like if it's over there, I don't know
And
what the
now it's
average.
AI.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how much the average wage is over there, but let's say like it's double. They're getting paid double to do the service, to do the call center jobs than the average Indian. But it's still, let's say, 10 grand annual for us. Like, where's the?
And it's not that they can't afford to do it. Like it just means they get less profit.
Yeah, but then
That's what it is.
yeah, but then guess what? Even if they can't, they can afford to do it. You know what you'll notice is, yeah, any call center that's based in the UK, you're never gonna get through because it's like you said. If I can spend, I'm just giving a stupid number. It's not real. But if I could send 10 grand, right, spend 10 grand and pay 10 people to do the same job, right? That's in India. You got 10 people doing that job. So when I call in, there's a queue. There's 10 people that can manage the queue. In the UK, if I got to pay one man that 10 grand, then even if I have my thing in the UK, there's going to be one man. There's going to be one man. So now you're going to be some of these men you call, and you're waiting for fucking call has been forwarded to your call.
But anyway, fucking hurt.
Their music. You might as well call the call center and run a rave. Sail away, sail away. So if you really want any decent customer service, you better hope that the call centers in India, because at least they can hire like 50 man.
Yeah, just can't understand half of it.
You know what I'm saying? Yo, it's bad out here, and it can't be turned around as easy. It's like turning you can't turn a container ship like it's a car, and that's what Trump is trying to tell you people. Like he could just and there's no, man, it's a car crash. It doesn't work like that, man. The world economy isn't something that you could just do drastic things and it's okay.
Yeah, changed overnight.
Things are supposed to be changed over time to minimize the damage. He's like, no, we're just gonna because the art of the deal, and I'm a tough guy, bro. He's fucking shit up, but it's on purpose.
Throw chicks up in the air to see what
Yeah, just throw it up in there and it will land properly. It doesn't work like that, man. You know, people suffer in the meantime, and he's telling you that, but he's saying it's just temporary. No, it's not. This is the new normal.
Yeah, because they kept talking about it.
It's the new
This
normal.
is going to do irreparable damage.
You know?
Oh, let's keep going. Yeah, second Esdras, man. Hey, people are gonna find out, man. It's gonna get bad, man. By next winter, they're gonna be still hoping. Okay, but the deals, okay, but he's done the deals now, so things are gonna get better. There's a deal. There's an earth-shattering deal coming through, so it's gonna get better because he said that it's a golden age.
And we need to consider this, right? We need to remember this, right? Biden kept talking about a dark winter, right? And although be it that dark winter never really materialized as was said in it, but the dark winter is still coming.
The White Walkers are coming.
Yeah, right? Because there's nothing good ahead, man. There's gonna be a winter where it's gonna be fucking so bad.
No, it's nothing good, man. They're gonna start squeezing up the. Now, one thing they might do is there is a possibility that they could drop the interest rates, but you see, again, people don't realize.
But they dropped it here, didn't they?
If they drop the interest rates in America, what that means is there's a whole bunch of free cash that's going to be made available to the higher ups. And you know what they do with that cash? They just buy shit up. And when they buy up that shit, you know what that causes? Inflation. So if he lowers the interest rate, what that causes is what's known as inflation. Inflation means the purchasing power of your dollar goes down. Means you're not able to buy as much with the money that you already have. This has been the problem the whole time. The QE is redistributed wealth. And the Trump saying, yeah, drop them interest rates.
And that's what, and this plan goes back over time because that's even the reason why they took it off the gold standard in the first place.
So
man.
you probably
manipulate it.
So you're probably gonna get stagflation. It's gonna get dark, and then he gonna blame it on Powell and blame it on this, and all his followers are gonna be like, yeah, it's everyone else's fault and the niggas. It's their fault. While you're suffering.
Buying up too much night.
Yeah, boy. Listen, I'm gonna tell you what I told you last week. Yeah, if you're an Edomite and you're in the middle class and you got a net worth or whatever at 3 million, bro, there's only one thing you should be doing right now.
Yeah.
You should be selling everything. Your wife, sell your mistress, sell your side piece, sell your dog, your little golden Labrador. Sell that, man. Sell the Chihuahua.
Exactly.
Sell everything, man. Everything must go. Do it before everyone else is doing it. Sell everything. Take that 3 million in cash. Like, you might want to keep your American citizenry, you never know, and flipping go to Thailand. Where else is good, man? We give these Edomites. Go Thailand, go flipping Bahamas, Nigeria, flipping Puerto Rico. Listen, wherever it is that 3 million is worth 300 million.
Yeah, bro, that. Even in certain of them shithole countries, if you got that much money, you can make it not a shithole. That's why you still have
there's good places in every part.
exactly. That's why you still have Edomites in South Africa.
Why be middle class in America when you could be the 1% in somewhere else? Bro, I've seen man show me places that you could buy in Thailand for like 100K, and it's a fucking mansion.
Yeah.
It's a literal room. Here in the UK, you can't buy a shed for 100 grand in London. You'll be living in a shed for 100 grand.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Why am I doing all this for? Listen, we're packing up, we're leaving. I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna have 5 maids. Yeah, 5 maids, 1 for each room. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, 20 concubines. Are you mad? Do you know what you could do with like 3-5 million in them countries? Oh, you will never want
that is the retirement plan, bro.
Well, you man are in America.
It should be on there.
You know, hoping that Trump's gonna make it okay.
No.
Just sell what you have, man. Give up.
America's free.
It's finished, man. It's over. The game. He's telling you the game is over.
Yeah.
By doing all this bullshit he's doing, the game's over. He's saying, oh, you know, bro, America had a great deal. He's telling you, okay, that's it. Now. We're done in it. We don't want the cheap products no more. What? This is insane. Yeah, you can keep the cheap products.
Oh man. But adding on to the witchcraft though, right? Is people think, okay, we just have to wait and draw for 4 years and we'll get a new guy. It's like, nah, bro.
Listen,
Bro,
bro.
the same.
Listen,
You
bro.
gotta get
Go
destroyed
live,
the
go live your life because your Howard Shire is coming. That's what every Edomite should be doing right now. If you're in London and your house is worth 800 grand, it's not worth it, man. Sell the house and move to Thailand, man. I'm telling you, the weather's better. You're gonna get all of the sexual desires fulfilled very easily and very cheaply. Life is good. You ain't gonna miss them. You won't miss England. I'm telling you. You be drinking pina coladas every day. I'm thinking about doing that. Actually, I ain't got no assets, bro. You think if I had them assets, I'd be gone, man. These Edomites are fools. They're fools, man. The elites are living good. Prince Harry and all them are living like billionaires. They're living, they don't. But you there, you know, I got my little business. Bro, sell your business, brother. Why are you wasting your time? Go live like an elite till the missiles come, man. That's real advice.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna buy the dip. To hell with buying the dip, blood. Sell everything and leave, man. While you still can about your buying the dip because you think you're smart. While buying the dip.
Weren't this Sunats from like Kenya or something like that? One of them, like, I believe, like their families, like was one of them East African, Southeast African countries.
Bro,
They got another different Tanzania.
Yeah. You know.
Go on, you got these ex-footballers staying in America and all that stuff and all that. Man, leave. Get out of here, man.
Shannon Sharp wouldn't have been in trouble.
Shannon Sharp would've been fine in Thailand. Why you need to go work for these Edomites? You should have enough money that you could just go like Costa Rica, go anywhere. You got innumerable places where being a millionaire is equals to being a billionaire. Colombia.
You're almost like government with that kind of money.
You can buy private security.
Yeah.
You're good. Go on,
So we go second Ezra himself from 17.
Yeah.
Woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and the great mournings, the beginning of famine and the great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear.
So there's a lot of pain coming, man. Right? Who said, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? When we always use straight stars, like, that was a man from the ancient world, right? Man who, life was tougher back then, right? So how much more so like now, man? Now we're gonna be looking at these things. These are things that we're looking for, right? But the average man, when these things come to pass, man, you know, they ain't gonna know from whence it prices, man. Right? I remember in that Netflix documentary about Alexandra, but there's a thing in there where Alexander's character basically says these Persians, they've been so comfortable for so long, right? It's gonna be easy to take them down. Right, and that's just what it's going to be like for these people. They've been living in not just relative comfort compared to the rest of the world. They've been living in super comfort, right? Karen?
Yeah, Madagascar's one of them places. They make it easy for you to go there. Bro, you live like a king, man. It's nothing. See, Edomites were helping you out. Madagascar, man. Look it up, man. I'm telling you.
That's your gospel. That's the only good news you're gonna get right now.
Move to Jamaica, mate. Move to Jamaica. Yeah? There's plenty of places.
There's
bro.
no place you in the kingdom, man. But you know, yeah, why it's here.
Bro, this is the only place where you're gonna get it. You'll be kicking yourself, yeah, if you never really enjoyed life to the fullest, man. And the missiles just, you know, come on. You're waiting on a golden age, man. There's a golden age in Thailand right now, fam. Sell that shit, man. Go on, brother.
The beginning of wars and the power shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils. What shall I do when this evil shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as the scourges for amendment.
And you know, even on that point, all of these things are sent as scourges for amendment. But that's why we're trying to get right with the law, so we can be protected when these things come, right? Because there's another one where it says similar thing, but basically like these things were basically created for the wicked, right? So we're not trying to be in that stead. We're trying to be in the stead of getting the reward of basic protection in those days, pursuant to Isaiah 65.
So I say that, you know, warning shots are being sent, right? You're being given, you know, the signs that this place isn't what you think it is, right? It's about to be brought down heavy, right? And you know, if you understand this word, you have to relate what's going on.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I'm just looking here, right? Places where
booking tickets.
where the dollar, you know the funny thing about it is Mexico's top of the list.
Oh yeah?
They're saying so really they hating on the Mexicans. Hey, if the Mexicans are coming across the border, you motherfuckers with money should be going to Mexico. Go buy a condo or a mansion in one of them gated communities with the armed security guards, and you live like a king in Mexico. What are you doing, man? Look, Mexico's right there.
Low effort as well.
Bro, man said the dollar goes a long way south of the border, meaning hotel bargains and forget hotels. Gluttonous meals, tortillas, beer gal, the gal are cheap. What are we doing here? And then look, the next one they say is Poland, which what we've seen. You've seen a lot of Polish people now when they made the money in the UK, they're moving back to Poland. And they take all the money they've saved here and they're living good in Poland. They didn't stay here to struggle in London. They said, hell with it.
Same, yeah, because a lot my old Romanian colleague, he was saying a lot of people he knows are different home, man. Which is that's what Isaiah.
Vietnam.
Oh yeah, he used to loves that Vietnam, man.
Vietnam, boy. Brazil. They're saying Brazil. And there's more places than this, man. There's places that's cheaper than East. Bro, listen, that's why you got a lot of these heathen that made money. If they're smart, they go back home.
Yeah, the man shall return back to that.
Go back to your own country and take out, sell everything you have. Some men are stubborn though. They fall in love with this place. When really, the best thing for them to do is just liquidate and go back and live like a king, man. What are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Live like a king. Why are you here struggling like you're rich struggling when you could be just rich? Yeah. Man struggling and they got a house worth 1 million. You're over here hoping that someone else can make it better for you. Sell that house, man.
Behold, righteous shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in a good case.
And that's already happened. And Trump saying they don't want that no more. That already happened where you could go and you could buy products for nothing. It's been that way. You could buy food is cheap. That's why the Americans so fat. Carbs is cheap. And just general products where you go into the average American household and there's just shit. Yeah. So much shit they have to sell some shit and they still got shit. You go other places in the world, the kids ain't got 50 million toys. The garages are packed up like hoarders. The man ain't buying that many products. Americans just had the ability, even the American that's not rich, had the ability to just buy it.
Yeah.
And like it's nothing. The cheap, good, sweet Chinese goods. But now they're saying it's over. So then it's over then. We out of here.
You was mentioning food, man, and like one thing that always shocks me is like meat, the price of meat in other places. Other places you go, like for instance, say you have like a whole plate full of meat. Other places you may have like 3 beef. Yeah, that's what you're having for dinner. 3 beef cubes, right? And then that even then that's a
But
lot.
it's good to say she lived deliciously, man.
Yeah.
They live deliciously, man.
You know.
But
Yeah,
Trump,
all
hey,
these
but
things.
Trump said instead of buying that 10 steaks, you better get used to just eating the one, brother.
Yeah. Well, most Brazil's one of the largest producers of meat in the world. So that means a lot of the meat that they're eating is going to be being
Yep,
imported, and
yep.
therefore the price has gone up.
Yeah, but they're gonna have that lab meat, and then that you gonna get a job making that lab meat.
No shit about that.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, we've already had that time when them goods are cheap as hell. You could go on Temu. Hey, man, we're going on Temu and buying shit for nothing. That man just slapped the 145% tariff on that. Yeah, man.
And even then shall evil go upon, and even then shall evil go upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion.
And that's what we're seeing. We're gonna see those things start coming to pass. Sword, but you see India and them, man, and then Trump act like he got in the middle of it and sorted it out because he's the big man. But you can't sort out Ukraine. It's all theater, man. Yeah. having a shouting match with that cokehead on TV, and then he said, "Oh, this is gonna be good for TV," and people never clocked it. You know, people never clocked that it was all theater. Anyway, them times is gone. Now you're gonna just see more madness happening, and more insane behavior happening, and it's gonna get worse and worse and worse. It ain't going back the other way. Since C19, really, it ain't. I mean, the gas prices went down,
Then go
but
back.
but then the price of everything didn't go back down. You know what I mean? Everything's gone up, man. You can't buy chicken and chips now for nowhere near a pound.
It's a new baseline.
Baseline's like, free wings and chips, £2, and that's in the ends. You go outside the ends, it's £3.
New normal, isn't it?
Yeah, because they show you that in the graph though, where it will be like the price was say here, then it goes there,
But it never goes back.
but then when it will go like to there, and then people go, oh look, it's so much better. So yeah, but compared to where it was a year ago, it's still like double the price.
Yeah, it's inflation.
Yeah.
Everything went up. Rents are going up.
Oh, rents are insane.
Rents
I
are
think
insane.
what for a one bed they're saying that the average in London now is like 1.5.
And I know people. I've you've been around people, and they're like, yeah, my landlord just put my rent up by £1,000. What?
Yeah, but that's because their landlord is hurt because their mortgage has gone up by £1,000 or £2,000. You know,
Because a lot of people started to play landlord when they didn't really
exactly.
but now Esau's like, I gotcha.
Gotcha. Yeah, so they're having to sell their second homes, but then also the new.
Who's that? My man's doing carpentry.
Yeah.
Still,
What do you call it? No, I saw a Zuf. I was like, wait, is that Nixon? I just saw a Zuf. But yeah. So
doing the labor in the carpentry. So
the what do you call it? The So what we're saying, yeah. So the second homes, it's no longer profitable, right? But then also it's like the Labour have introduced new rent laws, which on the surface of it sound great, but really makes it such that it is also not that desirable to be a landlord. So you're going to start having it, all of them landlords sell it, and once again, if they're all
House
selling
prices
at the
go
same
down.
price,
And then they're also making the rules behind like the level of
Landlord,
keeping it.
So basically,
Yeah.
all the landlords big money behind them
So,
to
maintain.
to keep up with this increase.
Yeah.
They're hurt.
Yeah.
No different to the small businesses.
Because I remember one of the things I always say about great thing about renting is when your boiler breaks, someone else is fixing that. But that's a $4,000 investment. So if you're just about making a profit of your investment property, where's that?
Well, that's like
$4,000
my
coming from?
landlord, man. He's always hurt to do the most basic things. But that's because you really shouldn't have been a landlord. You ain't a landlord is supposed to have big money behind them, so you had that cushion to absorb any problems. But you're being like this new age land, or that's everything's on the edge, hoping that
Yeah, yeah.
60 years down the line you can
Works
turn
out.
into a tycoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, ain't working out.
Because the thing is, it's still,
Over leverage.
it's still their house, so they will still have to maintain it anyway. So they might as well just work that properly.
Yeah.
But they
afford it.
can't. They're the limits, man. You know,
And they knew this was gonna happen.
they were just riding, thinking, oh, they're hoping they get to the point where everything's paid off.
Yep. And they know exactly how much to put it up, man. The breaking points. They know
Man,
the
they're
breaking
business, bro.
points. Just like in the
Yeah.
markets, they see all the stop
Yeah.
losses. They know where they are. They don't know. They know exactly where
Yeah,
to
'cause
put
it's
it. To.
all going into a database.
Yeah, they know. The algorithm knows how to flush every man out, man, just enough.
Yeah.
And then whoop. Anyway, go on.
Right back up.
Casino.
I was going to say,
Man telling you to buy. All right, cool.
for many of them that joy upon earth shall perish in for famine, and the other that escape the anger shall the sword destroy.
So there's gonna be disruption, and that's what people don't realize. But a lot of this disruption is gonna be on purpose. That's what people don't understand. That they actually want cataclysm and disruption because it allows them to bring in that ultimate change that they want.
So new controls. Yeah.
And so when you see Trump doing these things, that's disrupting the old order. Yeah, that, they want to
They
pull,
want it.
and then they'll go, yeah, but China's suffering too. Yeah, of course they are. They need everyone to
The
suffer.
whole world's gonna.
The whole world is going to suffer. It's not going to be painless. That reminds me of that remember in Top Boy when he says, "I'm going to get him, and when I get him, it won't be painless. It won't be painless, man. The elites don't care. Everyone will eat pain.
They men are protected.
They don't mind. They don't mind, man, crashing this, crashing that to bring in a new system. They don't mind destroying the dollar system
It's the
to
same-
bring in a new
The
system.
same thing you're talking about, being rich and all these price increases. They can, they've got the buffers. It doesn't affect them. Them crashing the world, they're cool.
They already got the
They can
power.
crash everything, bro. They got everything they want already, bro. And they can rebuild it as they please. They're not, you know what I mean?
But they got everything but you, and they want you.
Yeah, they want it.
That's the next step.
Exactly.
They want the crisis, man.
Just like in Egypt. You
Yeah.
know, the people lost everything up to a point where they was like, look, man, we got nothing else to say, man.
The man told you it's Liberation Day. Well, whose Liberation Day was it? It's not yours because they don't want you to be in liberty. They want you to be slaves. That's what the New World Order is all about. That's what the MOTB is all about. The MOTB is not about freedom. It's about slavery.
Mm.
But they have to bring you to that position where you will accept it.
Yeah, it's about salvation. It's not.
You know? Go on.
Second Ezra
So we're
16
in beautiful times, man. We're in beautiful times. Go on.
and 23. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them.
So there's going to be great crisis that's going to go on, even in these Western countries, where there's going to be a lot of dead people on the streets, man. And like I said, you're looking at the situation and you're thinking, oh, they're trying to do all the way with all the illegal immigrants. And nah, it's for you. Because they know the day is going to come where they're going to have to start dealing with a whole bunch of American citizens. Disappear them, kill them. They know that's coming. So they're getting everything, every infrastructure in place in order to do that under the guise of, oh yeah, we're dealing with the illegal. And we're like, yeah, the illegal immigrants. But they're not deporting them though.
Yeah.
Because it's not really about them. It's literally about just setting up the situation so that when all hell breaks loose, they know who to kill, where not to kill, where they could put people.
The proof of that, once again, is always like, you know, the thing that they use for the CV juice. People are like, oh, but it's new and experimental. But then what do they say? No, we've been working on this for 10 years. It's the same thing. Same with the MOTB, right? It's like, oh, how are we going to put something together so quickly? Oh, actually, we can use these things that we've been working on for a long time. Same thing with the elders going in.
I made already.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly what I made earlier. That's it. You know, with these different laws and procedures, people are going to be like, oh, this isn't in law. That's actually, no, when you look at that law, actually there's a prize in this case.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's up to interpretation.
But
so they can make it broad as they want or make it as narrow as they want.
Then they say they want to suspend habeas corpus or something.
Yeah.
Like that. So yeah, the game is the game, man.
Precedents.
The game is the game, and like I said, they're the ones that's going to initiate. This stuff is not going to happen by accident or oops. And one of the biggest lies that they portray is incompetence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, it's not incompetence. These people are not that stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. Is they know exactly what the. If you know, then how do they not know? You
Yeah.
think man don't know? The people
Yeah.
behind them actually know shit. They read the books that you're reading to learn, and how can I know and they don't? They know this is what will happen.
And the worst thing is, it's not just one person, like you said, it's a team. It's like if one person don't, but it's not you're trying to tell me the entire
Yeah, they don't know.
financial arm of the government weren't like, oh, actually, this is probably a bad idea.
Yeah, listen, you can know if you got education system in another country that works, right? How come everyone knows that the Chinese education system, all these work properly, right?
Mm.
But here in the UK, our thing is just designed to just dumb down the population. Yeah. Do you think that they don't know how that one over there works? Of course they know how it works. They don't want it to work like that here.
Yeah.
They make it work how they want it to work to get the results that they want. And then every year they tell you, oh, we don't know what's going on. We're trying to make improve. No, they're not. They want you to be dumb.
Yeah.
It's not an incompetent
Yeah.
thing. It's by design.
Because some things should be a matter of national security. Having a dumb population is a matter of national
dumb.
security.
They want you to be dumb. And then they'll make it look like it's incompetence and then fire that guy, put another guy in, and he'll just do the same
Same
thing
shit.
because he's doing it by design. The American economy is where it is by design. They inflated the currency by design. It's not incompetence at all. They know exactly what they're doing. They know how to tweak different areas of the economy to cause you to lose your job. Oh, he doesn't know how to run an economy. Yeah, they do. It's just that you think the economy is run for your benefit, but it's not.
You know how to run a economy, you know how to not run.
They run the economy good enough that all their infrastructures they need built are being built, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Works now.
the economy works well enough that all of the infrastructure they need is being built. Think about it.
On time.
On
Budget.
time and on budget. Well,
Yeah.
over budget, but on purpose.
Yeah.
So they know they want to kill for that money, man.
Pay a friend.
You know, they'll make sure that the 5G is put in and all that, innit? They don't have a problem with that.
Hey, that's what's going on during the
Yeah,
season.
they make sure it's
Yeah,
put in.
Well, even certain countries that are shithole countries have 5G. You wonder why.
Yeah.
Hey, once again, that Starlink is an important part of the puzzle as well.
Yeah.
Right?
You can get internet
Everywhere
anywhere
now. Right?
very easily.
Very easy. Right? It's like they basically put the infrastructure together, but
Even the military could use it.
because Ukraine, the whole Ukraine war, they've been basically relying
Skynet, man.
completely. Yeah.
It's Skynet, man, because they need internet to be available everywhere
Everywhere.
for all of the devices to work. The prison planet, and they literally surrounded the planet with these satellites.
Yeah.
Go on now, let's finish off.
I was going
Nah,
to
we're
say,
going to Madagascar, man. Hey, listen, man. Hey, them Somalian man, no. That's why one Somali gone. He told me straight. Said, listen, you could take the UK pension, go to Somalia, and you're gonna have a maid, your house, and all the camel milk you could drink.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, man are here on the are hurt eating dog food, freezing in their yard.
Yeah.
Them man are over there living like kings off the fucking state pension, man, which is what, £200 a week?
we got middle class line up food banks. You know?
Yeah, you get certain places like, would you call it, people earning like 300, like the teachers earning $300 in a month.
Yep.
So imagine taking home £200 a week to that country.
Yep. Bare camel milk. A man told me straight. I'm like, yo, no wonder. That man don't care. That's why some of them man even just take out loans and leave and disappear and go back to their country. Because they're going back to their country with like 80 grand, yeah. That's enough that they become like a warlord. Man go back there and turn into a warlord, like by bare rifle. Yeah, man's got the start-up money. Like, man's got commanding territories. Bro, it's a real thing, bro. Them man are like, I'll be alright, man. I got enough to start my business over there. Them man in there looking for man can't find man.
Yeah, and he's never coming back.
He ain't coming back. No, he ain't coming back. But these men here are struggling, but they're idiots, man.
I was going to say, for the earth shall be wasted and the cities shall be cast down.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen, man. We're vastly approaching that time period, man. So we just gotta keep teaching and keep pushing these prophecies and watch this place implode. And it's happening right before everyone's eyes. And Trump is the major catalyst for all this to happen. So keep doing what you do, Trump. Keep doing it because I'm loving it. When I'm seeing all this stuff, and the more he starts talking up what he's doing, the more I know he's doing the opposite. So I'm just like, yeah,
Well, it's like this, like, we call him Nero Trump in it for good reasons, man. But it's like right now he's causing the world to be set on fire while he's just fucking around. You know what I mean? He's just, but what he's doing is messing up everything.
and even the UK is playing their part.
And he's gonna blame us.
The UK is just coming in, destroying the UK. Every country is just doing the same thing. They're not helping the people.
No.
Yeah.
The UK is coming in now. They're gonna bring in a bunch of Indians to take all the high value jobs.
Yeah, with no national insurance. Look,
Yeah.
extra. Hey, look at your paycheck.
Bro.
Add in the money that national insurance is deducting.
Bro.
And I don't know if that's national insurance from both the employer and you. Because if it's both,
Yeah, I think
It's like 6, 8, or like 11, 15% or something. Yeah.
and they still get to get all the services.
Bro, but you Jake build Britain.
nothing. Yeah,
So
that's
you don't even know
that
taxes at the time, bro.
So them man are gonna pile in.
that should be grounds for a right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, man.
Like, if we spiritualists, we
Yeah,
ain't good.
no,
That's
no
grounds for a
nigga should be taxed for anything, bro.
Yeah, they
We
gonna
don't
pile in.
have thing.
Yeah, that's how the thing go. That's how the thing go.
Because you know what it is. The proof that's a need for a riot is you had contractors, right? In the UK, you actually be better off working for a company as a contractor. You're a full-time employee, or you're hired as a contractor. But because of the way the tax system works, you paid less tax. What the government did is they said, no, that's not fair. If you two are doing the same job, right, why are you being able to loophole out of the system to be able to pay less tax? And they basically fucked the whole contracting gig thing up. So why are these Indian men able to come over and get a
Yes.
different?
Because they're undermining the native population, which is what it's always about, playing one against the other, and in the end, everyone loses, and that's the name of the game. And they're all going to be doing it, a coordinated effort to just destroy the people, man. And it's beautiful to watch. It's beautiful to see it happening, man. You know what I mean? These scumbags, but it must needs happen, man. It must needs happen, like no doubt. All right, So, yeah. Anything else? Anything else?
What was I holding?
We'll close up, man.
I got nothing, but I mean, because I'd wanted to read it before. But so Ecclesiastes 10:6. So folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in low place. Right? There was one was based talking about how these people, they're just so engrossed in whatever folly is that they're not really understanding and observing what is going on. I know that's something Elder Ariella says a lot about how, because we're in this thing, it's sort of like we think a lot of people are, paying attention to certain things. But when you look,
they're just enjoying the
they're
show.
enjoying the show. You see
no
what
idea.
they're consuming on TikTok. They're, just booty
It's
shaking
very
videos.
superficial, and that's why they're easily swayed by headlines.
Yeah.
They don't even read the article to see the details. So man can tell you it's a great deal. You don't know the details of the deal. Someone could just bring a headline and you just run with it.
But these times, with the AI, we have the tools. It's like, if you ain't got time to read the article, hey, summarize this for me.
Yeah.
Is this a good deal? Isn't it a good deal? So on the one hand, he is using this for his wickedness. But like you can utilize this.
Nah. But there's bad bees on Instagram, bro.
Yeah, that's
Or
it.
you can watch a bunch of manosphere videos constantly talking
Yeah.
about hoes. They still don't know nothing.
Exactly.
Like on repeat on the algorithm. The algorithm is dangerous,
Yeah,
man.
it is.
It just puts you into a pigeonhole and then your
Yeah.
mind's captivated.
Yep.
And that's why these people don't have a clue about what's going on and they're not waking up. But brothers that's watching, we constantly send things to each other and we inform each other. Hey, look at this. Look at the details. Like, yeah, that's bullshit. That don't make no sense what he's saying. But they want you to engage in that argument and that narrative. No, ignore that. Let's look over here. But they don't want you to look over here. They want you to look here and they fix the narrative a certain way.
Yeah.
And people buy into that, man.
Newspapers still printing about Andrew Tate's bad for school. It's like, bro, what are you talking about?
Like, so they want you to know about him. They want you to search his name. They want you to talk about him.
Streisand effect, they call it.
Yeah. If they didn't want you to know about this guy, they just would never talk about him. And 99% of people wouldn't even have heard about him. Most people heard about him because the mainstream started talking about him.
Because if you've got him on YouTube or whatever, the way you hear, how do you hear about him? You don't.
Because he's
Unless
working,
you bring him on
because
TV
he's
and do all
working
this
for the
bullshit.
system.
You know?
That's how he managed to escape from Romania to America. But he's wanted by the Matrix. Make it make sense, man. Fuck out. These people are retarded, man. Just believe any bullshit, man. Not me, man. If the milk's sour, I ain't the type of pussy to drink. You know what I mean? It has to make sense. So yeah, with that, we say double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways.